Anytime. So, political earthquake today, and we're going to talk about it.
Okay, you know what? I'm not above removing you. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Superhero Speak. I'm your host, Dave.
And John.
I'm Don. The seat of my pants.
I was scared. I'm thinking, oh, wait, is he like coming back from his vacation today?
Yeah, no. Nope, just screwed up. No.
Well, we're all screwed up, so that's fine. How is everyone doing? And well, Don, since you were on vacation last week, and you're back and ready to rock and roll, you can go first.
Certainly.
What's new with you?
Yeah, well, like you said, just on vacation, had a great time down in Myrtle Beach. Had a camper trailer that, I have my truck and took it down there, rode through the mountains of West Virginia, through the mountains even, which was really, really cool. So just a great time. Of course, I caught the Acolyte a couple days late, but enjoying that. We'll talk about that, of course. But yeah, just refreshed, ready to go. Everybody got back safe. Everyone had fun. And we got good stuff to talk about.
Cool. All right. How about you, John? Anything new and exciting or good this week? Hopefully.
Well, on Monday, I had to bring my cat back to the hospital. My surviving cat, my other cat, passed away last week. Come to find out, he had an 8-inch long grass stem that went through his nasal passages, down his throat, and all the way into his gullet, which was just fine. So he's fine now.
That's good. Thank God.
But on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I felt like I was passing through the mountains of West Virginia because I had no power. I was out of power for 2 days. We had a storm come through here that looked like I saw a tornado in Hamden, Connecticut. Like one passed within a couple hundred feet of me in Connecticut back in 91, I think it was. and this looked a whole lot like that. People's roof tiles were flying off. And my next door neighbor was starting to lose his siding. It was just trees bent almost horizontal. 2 doors down, they lost 3 trees. I lost a tree in my backyard. And we were out of power. I was up for 48 hours, constantly feeding a generator and helping some of my neighbors, keep their frozen foods frozen because I was the only one with a working refrigerator. It was it was great.
John, that's awesome, man. I just want to say, being a guy part of a neighborhood, that's really awesome for you to do, though. That's huge.
Oh no, yeah. If I miss the old neighborhoods, right? I just now in the last couple of years have gotten neighbors that I can really trust. And it's you're right. I would figure you'd feel that way too, Don. But in the meantime, after what's happened over the last couple of months, I'm now looking for the old gypsy crone that I crossed so I can take the curse off. And that's my life now.
So wait, you don't think I would feel that way? You think I hate everybody? I mean, you're right, but I don't assume that.
So Don, I've always known that you were an empathetic guy. I mean, Dave,
you know what though? That storm, we can talk about that storm because all right. So I don't know if I think I talked about this on the show last week, but I went to New York this past week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We went to go to a concert, the Foo Fighters, and so we got there Tuesday. Just kind of we got pizza and just hung out at the hotel. Wednesday we got up, and anyone who's from New York, most people are gonna know Cat's Deli, right? And I've never had a sandwich from Cat's Deli. and it's world famous, and I wanted some pastrami. So we were trying to figure out what's the best thing to do. Now we were staying. The concert was at Citi Field, which is where the Mets play. That's in right near LaGuardia Airport in Queens.
Oh, LaGuardia.
So, and then of course, those who know New York, Queens is right above Brooklyn, and then Manhattan is the island next to it. But we were like, we're gonna go into Manhattan, but it was like 100 degrees in New York on Wednesday. So it was
yeah, that's a massive heat island there.
Yeah. So what we did was there is I was on the long road to ruin. Wait, what does that mean, Thrawn? Hello, Thrawn. I'm on the long road to ruin. All right. So cats, there's a place called the Brooklyn Mart, I believe, which is very much like the Reading Terminal Market here in Philly, where there's a bunch of stores that have stands and stuff. And Cat's Deli has a stand there. And we were like, oh, great, we'll go there. It's inside, it's air conditioned, and we'll do a little bit of shopping. We'll come back here and go to the show. So let me say, first off, we got a Reuben and split it because their sandwiches are giant, and it's life-changing. Their pastrami is life-changing. If you've never had it, go to New York and go to Cat's Deli.
New York has a lot of good food places that will change your idea of food.
Yes,
but don't ever eat pizza with a fork in
that...
New York. They will throw your body into the Hudson. So
roll and quarter you, sir.
Yes,
that is a sin. Dave, is that anywhere near like the Comic-Con convention place at all?
So it's in.
I know nothing about New York. You mentioned Queens. I'm like, oh, Coming to America. I know that, but outside of that's it.
So,
and of course, all the bad
Cat's,
movies, which make me
scared.
The actual
Cat's Deli is like in the south end of Manhattan, and the convention hall is on the East Coast is where of the island. Yes, I know what you're asking. We will find a way to go while we're there. So then I was like, all right, it was getting late. The doors opened at 4. The show started at 5:30. There were 2 opening acts, Mammoth and the Pretenders. And then the Foo Fighters are supposed to go on around 8 o'clock. So we get back to the hotel. I'm like, okay, it's a little after 4. Let's just drop our stuff off. We don't know where we're going. We'll just head over to the concert now. And of course, the girlfriend goes, or we could take a nap and get there around 7, catch the second opening act, and then watch them. And I'm like, fine. So, the woman always wins. Let's be straight here, fellas. And
I mean, they do. You got a line, but you're not wrong. I'm married, so believe me, happy wife, happy life.
So we got there.
I'm divorced twice, and I don't adhere to that.
My hope was
that at all
because the opening act I wanted to see was Mammoth. So my hope was they were going to be the second opening act. We got there a little after 7. And of course, we caught the last 5 songs of the Pretenders because that's my luck. Now, the other thing I need to tell everyone is that storm that John mentioned was moving into New York. And
around that time, I guess, huh?
Yeah. So now we're sitting. Now, the other thing is, I bought these tickets around Christmas time. I didn't have a lot of money to spend, so we were in the cheap seats. We were in section 500, which is the top section in the stadium, and we were row 18, and the very top row is 19.
So you only paid $1,000 per seat then, right? Like
no. This is not Taylor Swift, so the tickets were affordable. But it's one of those things, you get to your seat and we look at the steps going back down and we're like, Karen's like, yeah, I'm not going to move until the show's over. Like, I'm going to hold, go to the bathroom, all of that. I was like, all right. But an hour into, about 45 minutes into their set, the Foo Fighters, you could see off in the distance all the lightning. You could hear the thunder. It was getting really bright and really close. And then about an hour in, that's when Dave Grohl starts doing let me introduce the band to you. And so he says, he's introducing everyone. And that's when Karen turns to me and goes, all right, I can't hold it anymore. You and I were going to go down the steps. I'm going to go to the bathroom and we'll just find a spot down there to stand and watch. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, we've done that before at shows. When we've had bad seats, we'll move somewhere closer and just stand. And we get down there. She comes out of the bathroom. They played My Hero, which is one of my favorite songs by them. And then he goes, all right, they're saying they're going to probably have to pull us, but we're going to play on as long as they'll let us play. And I'm like, oh, yeah, they're going to call this. So they start playing Learning to Fly, and Karen's like,
and then they flew off the stage because of the.
We said let's move a couple more floors down just in case, since we're standing anyway. We ended up going down a couple floors. We're right by the entrance we came in, and all of a sudden there's all these people coming down the hallway, and we can't hear them anymore. And it's like, they stopped the show. So anyone can go online and watch. You can find clips on social media all over the place. After they finished Learning to Fly, they went, all right, we think we got time to play one more. And they played the intro, just the intro to Everlong. And the music then just stops. And he's like, all right, they're calling us. We'll come back out if we can, but everyone's got to go and get safe. And that was it. That was the end of the show. So, yeah. But wait, the story gets better. Wait, what's Thrawn say? Hey, our Swifty ticks are only 300. Thankfully, pre-sale rocks. 300 is a lot, Thrawn. I hope that's close. Because I'm telling you that the tickets I bought were only like 50. So we're walking, and when you walk out of the stadium, it's like right near the street when you leave the main entrance. It's not a far walk, and there's an elevated train. So I'm like, oh well, we'll just wait under the train while it's raining, call an Uber, and we're only 10 minutes from the hotel. We'll be back early and we can relax. And of course, not to speak ill of my girlfriend, she goes, I don't think it's a good idea to wait here. Everyone's coming out of the stadium. It's going to get super crowded. There's going to be tons of people calling Ubers. Like, we should move up the street a little bit. Well, going up the street, you're along the side where the parking lot is. So it's not like you can go 10 feet and there's a cross street. You're going and going. And it won't, like, anyone who's used Lyft and Uber know that you can't just randomly pick a spot. Sometimes you've got to be at a location that they can send someone to. So they wanted us to be at the cross street, which was 2 blocks. While we're walking, that's when a torrential downpour hit. So needless to say, by the time we got to the corner, we were both drenched. And luckily there was an overhang we could stand under, and we eventually made it back to the hotel. But yeah, we did not survive without getting wet.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah.
So, but we had a good time. I mean, they sounded great. It was a great show for what we ran an hour and 15 minutes. But what are you going to do? Mother Nature said,
yeah. Mother Nature does mess with you. We were supposed to see dolphins down in Myrtle Beach. But yeah, there was too much. They couldn't go out in the ocean. They found one dolphin in the river, and we saw it come up a couple times, and so yeah, that sucks. It's funny though, Dave Grohl being the second drummer of Nirvana has just done great for himself with Foo Fighters. That's such a crazy story. Like when you look at the band of Nirvana, of course, the tragic story of Kurt Cobain, its lead singer and guitarist. Mm-hmm. But then there's Dave Grohl, the drummer, who became this megastar with his own band, the Foo Fighters. And then there's Chris Novoselic that do But that's crazy that Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters are just mega stars in their own right. He's the second drummer that was on Nirvana.
It's funny because I've seen interviews with Chris where he talked about when in the early days, during Nirvana, Dave was working on his music. Like he'd sit there with a guitar and he'd try stuff, but he was really shy about his music and he didn't want to push anything on Kurt or Chris to say, because he was, again, like you said, he was the second drummer. He's not a founding member. He wasn't trying to push his music on them. And both Chris and Kurt like turned to each other at one point and said, "We're in trouble," because they said that like he was way more talented than they were with songwriting. So yeah, it's funny. Let's see, what is the and the guitarist Pat Smear also became a Foo Fighter. Yes. Yeah, actually that's the only two bands that he's been in. Pat Smear was Nirvana towards the end because he was a touring member, and then now Foo Fighters. So
that was a long trip.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm talking about my crazy adventures of the week. You know, I mean, I'm not talking about cats dying or losing power.
Okay, look, you know,
all right. Well, I know what.
Let's talk about something else depressing. The Acolyte. No, well, kind of.
All right, we'll get to the Acolyte.
I already know that this is going to be like Don defending two shitty things, superhero speak tonight. But you know,
all right. So
no, I'm really interested to hear what Don has to say about it. But go ahead.
We'll get that in a second. So let's do social media madness first, because it goes into the Acolyte anyway. So one of the things we talked, and this all ties together. One of the things we kind of talked about last week is the motivations of the Jedi were all whack in episode 7. You know, we get that opposite side, or that extended version of what happened on the planet, and you got to admit, like, especially what's it? I was going to say Turban. The Torben. I mean, come on, wanting to go home. Crouching Soul, Hidden Plague. Okay,
pretty hilarious.
Yeah. And Basil too. Basil's like, what the hell side are you on? Because you know, you're helping Soul one time, and then you're sabotaging his ship. Like, whose side are you?
I hate that fucking squirrel. As much as I'm going to defend as much as I can Acolyte, I hate that fucking squirrel.
Yeah, that was bad. So
he was just a walking plot device. That's all he was.
Yeah, pretty much. So of course, we had people who responded to us talking about that, and then so over on the TikToks, Kolaski, a Polish name. Did you all forget the part where the Night Mothers infected his brain? Yeah, but he was complaining about wanting to go home before the Night Mothers did that. Like,
you can't make that connection. No.
Yeah.
We didn't forget it. Just, you're wrong.
Captain American Dad says forced corruption happened to him. Did we forget? Yeah. And then Toxic Goon.
They're going to corrupt him in order to come back and help murder them?
Yeah.
That wasn't, I mean, like, there was this whole thing was so exposition laden that, like, there was no subtlety at all. And there was nothing that indicated that they had done that. So, like, if they had done that, somebody would have expositioned that to us.
Right.
Or they would have made it really, really apparent. But he did that because he was just a little pansy Jedi, like whatever I don't even consider these guys Jedis. But go ahead.
Toxic Goon Avenger said, plot is too nice of a word. 858 Modelo said, he already had the data, which is a very good point. They already had the data on the twins. They didn't need to go and capture them. And then Eddie says, oh gosh, a kid who is not a real Jedi yet does something without thinking, making things worse and getting people and himself almost killed. I'm sure this has never happened before.
That's a good point.
Well,
yeah.
Very good point.
Yes. All right. One of the other things we talked about last week was John, I'm apologizing up front. I don't think this way, but you'll see in a second. We talked about Sam Wilson not getting the super soldier serum, right? Or is he not going to get it? We talked about the Brave New World trailer where obviously Red Hulk was shown. So is he going to end up with the super soldier serum so he's strong enough to fight Hulk? but he's never had it in the comic. And John, that was your point. You said he's no longer Sam Wilson if they give him the super soldier serum that's going against the comics.
Yeah.
So like that's the clip that was put up, and Sergio's World said the logic of MCU films versus comics is hard to contend with when you see the reality happening to real people. Like, why does Sam just wear an Iron Man suit, an Iron Man like suit? It's set. Like, yes.
Well, that's a running joke. There was I think it was a College Humor skit where they did like, why doesn't Iron Man just give everybody an Iron Man suit? And like, once, and it was a joke thing. And when he handed it out, because they were bugging him too much about it, he just never had to go out and do anything again, because any one of them could handle any situation because they all had an Iron Man suit. It's one of those things where you really have to suspend your logic, because why wouldn't you give everybody an Iron Man suit?
Right. Bad Jetter said everyone that knows how to make the serum is dead. Not entirely true. In fact, that is basically part of the plot of Civil War. There were all those super soldier serums and stasis, and obviously they had the formula there. There was also Bucky has it, so they could take Bucky's blood and re-engineer and reverse engineer it. So it is possible to get the super soldier serum again. Just and then, so it's a possibility. They're not going to do it, but it is a possibility. Christo said, "What is Steve Rogers not Steve Rogers anymore?" Again, you misunderstood the point. Jack Adams said, "Have him sacrifice himself at the end of the movie. Then they need to use super soldier serum to save his life. He would prove he's just like Steve, jumping on the grenade, and deserves it." I like that answer. I'll give it to them if they want to deviate from the comics. And he, they have to give it to him to save his life. I like that. And then Chow Wild, this is the comment. It's like, this is not true at all, John. Because he's not white is what you're trying to say.
Oh, Dave, that deserves a clip, man.
What are you doing? We don't do that here.
No. No.
I just noticed we have a comment here from a new person at Classic X Books said they lowered the bottle on Torben. What he did after what not
they loosened the bottle on Torben. Basically, they jimmied the
and they wanted him to go
lid,
away. Yeah,
and wait after it was not their plan. But also, you gotta remember Torben. Okay, I know there's precedent for this, but in general, Padawans did not disobey their masters. Like if he was so mentally unstable that he was going to disobey their master like that and keep complaining about home and everything, he should never have become a Jedi.
Yeah.
I think that he is particularly strong, though. Like maybe not Anakin level, but I think he's just someone they couldn't pass up making a Jedi.
Oh, because he really was the Force bubble for like 10 years.
Because and the short time that it took for him to become a master, right?
Right.
Like so, as he's fucking deflecting all those arrows, like all signs point to Torben actually being a major badass in the Force.
Right.
Until he just drank. Until he just drank.
A flawed person, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Which is probably a more interesting story than what we got.
Actually, yes.
And then finally, we did talk about the whole show could have been wrapped up by them just communicating with the council about what was really going on. And so the joke was like, they could just wrap this up. It's like a Three's Company episode where there's all these misunderstandings. Gasper said hologram wasn't present back then. Well, no, it was because they used it in the show. Your favorite
menagerie.
Ah, that's
your favorite menagerie.
Yeah. Wow, I just pulled a John. Because I've never seen the word written before. I've only heard it. You murdered a woman as she was trying to escape with her child. You're trying to take him from her. That is the Jedi way. Nah, you're crazy if you think anything the Jedi did was okay.
Well, nothing. Well, no, like technically everything they did could be excused because, like, okay, scary woman, witch woman starts turning into a mist monster, and then one of the children starts disappearing. What are you going to do? You kill the monster that's apparently killing the kid. You know, like, I mean, nothing they almost everything they did. It's really funny because the writing is supposed to be making the witches seem like that you could empathize with them, but it only accomplishes the exact opposite. Where you're looking at the Jedi, going, you know, well, everything they did, at least their actions with respect to the witches, had a good reason. I mean, the rest of the plot was out the window, but yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just like they I mean, they went, they talked to the witches, and then they left. You know, and if it wasn't for Torben, who should never have been a Padawan because obviously he was too weak-willed, and Soul
was in that too.
Yeah.
Is got a lot on his shoulders as far as being fucked up, even though he's a Jedi. Which
I see Osha. Oh, she must become my Padawan. I have a connection with her. You know, there are lots of people in chat in the chat that you know.
We'll talk about that.
Let's get some super chats going. Got to discriminate more, Dave.
Yes, you're right. You're right. And then finally, 30 Days of Night said, just stop talking Star Wars. Find something good to talk about.
Whatever. I'm the foremost expert on Star Wars, and I love it, and it's great, and we're going to talk about it until they kick me off the show, which could happen. Hey, but, you know.
All right. You weren't here last week when we talked about episode 7. That's, I mean, I this is what I said. I don't know if you watched the episode, but it was like I was with you defending this show all the way until they give us this episode and they show us, like John is saying, and I agree with this. They wrote it where they thought they're making the witches sympathetic, but it was just like, no. Well, all I saw was a bunch of Jedi with screwed up motives, it felt like, and they royally screwed up. And the witches didn't do anything to help the situation. They just kept making it worse and worse and worse. Like no one communicated. It was all action with no words. And I have sympathy for either side, really, in the situation. You know?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, you're at. Why is that bad writing? Why is it? Because did anyone say, you know, House of Dragon has bad writing? No. Well, guess what happened on one of those? 2 families that had land next to each other had a dispute that, you know, where all these stones were that dictated where their lands ended, and they moved them a couple feet, and that somehow escalated into them having this huge fucking battle that killed thousands of people. So why is that bad writing? Because that happened here. We have the Jedi that are looking for a virgins, and 2 of those Jedis didn't, you know, address the situation properly. Because Soul's giving into his emotions, Torben's giving into his emotions. We'll talk about that later. Versus this, you know, cult or whatever, this dark side witches that also have a negative bias toward the Jedi. And oh, look at that, the situation gets fucked up. I don't understand why that's bad writing.
But everybody's what all the dialogue is just so bent towards the plot, and Osha is going back and forth from I'm training with the Jedi to, you know, to I don't know,
being
whatever,
emotional
for 17 years,
like my teenager,
and then I hate them, and then I don't hate them, and now I hate them again, and now a bare chest. Now I'm a Sith because wow, how sexy. I mean, yeah, but like. But even given the hormonal teenager, none of even hormonal teenagers like do have reasons for what they do. They're fucked up reasons, but they're still reasons, right? But there's no impetus for anybody to do almost anything that they did, except for with the Jedi in respect to the witches and their actions. But even then, it's like people will go to say something and then not say like the thing that would stop the whole situation. Instead, they say they tease around the edges so that the whole plot can continue to happen without the knowledge that you could spout off at any given point, which would nullify the whole thing. I just
no, I won't go.
It's
that,
life, man.
I won't go as far as John. I do think, though. I'm trying to think how to say this. Like, I don't feel like, given everything we've seen from the Jedi in other canon, and I get it, these are different Jedi, I don't feel like they would just run to action like that. Right? Like,
no, not at least if they're following their protocols.
Right.
But that didn't happen here. Why didn't that happen here? Because you've got two people, and I almost maybe want to say this till we talk about the finale, because the finale has something huge in there that, you know, is a huge point that a lot of people don't seem to be getting here.
Well,
and these Jedi are not perfect; they're humans, and they do. And so, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Did you guys watch the clip I sent you with the guy who played the Jar Jar? I can't think of the actor's name.
Oh, that poor guy.
Yeah, I can't. Ahmed something. Because he also
What about
played Colorin Beck in Mandalorian.
He was doing an interview. Now, these are not his words; these are George Lucas's words, and I think this is an important point because it ties, in my opinion, it ties kind of into how people feel about the Acolyte and how people feel about Star Wars in general. George Lucas said, when it comes to the Force, most people get it wrong. Most people's understanding of the Force is wrong, because when he talks about the bringing balance to the Force, he's not talking about Ahmad Best. Thank you, Classic Xbox. He is not talking about a balance between the light side and the dark side. No. The light side is the balanced side. The dark side is chaos. And that's what people don't get. When Anakin is bringing balance to the Force, it's not about, he was bad then good or whatever. It's about defeating the Sith and defeating the dark side, so then everything is imbalanced on the light side.
Instead, he joined them.
Well, yeah, but until the end, he's the one who he's the one that actually kills Palpatine. So he is the one.
Yeah,
brings the balance to the Force. So I mean, that's an important point. And a lot of people like they're rooting for, and the people who wrote this show, you're rooting for Osha, who at the end of the show becomes a Sith. Well, that's wrong. That's not. Because it's like, oh, it's balance. It's like, no, it's like she's evil. And that's why I really hated the show at the end. Is the person that... Go ahead. The person we're following the whole time at the end decides like, nah, I'm a bad guy. And I'm angry, so now my sword turns red, which is not canon. And
that's not how you bleed a crystal, right?
Really? How do you bleed a crystal? How
long did it take Darth Vader to bleed a crystal?
Right. Why didn't Anakin's crystal turn red when he was killing younglings?
Point me to the How to Bleed Your Sith Crystal manual, and I'll gladly read it. But I don't think it exists.
We're just going by canon, and by canon.
No, you're not. This canon is only 20 years old, by the way, because before that it was synthesized red crystals.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Okay. So the actual instruction of how to bleed a crystal has actually never been written. To this day, it has not been written.
But the thing is,
I know that people point to Anakin, but Anakin's lightsaber was his own. His energy was already in the crystal. You need to take somebody else's crystal and corrupt it. Just like you can be Ahsoka and reverse it and take a corrupted and purify it. Hence why her shit is white. So again, if anybody out there can point me to the manual that I somehow don't know about of exactly how you bleed a crystal and exactly what is, then great. Otherwise, look, we bled a crystal here. She had her master's lightsaber, her master who loved her. She also loved him at some point, but then she ended up killing him because he's the one that killed her mother.
Right. The one who couldn't even grab anything with the Force before and hasn't trained in 6 years can suddenly Force choke somebody out and bleed a crystal in 3 seconds. Sure. Okay.
Yes.
No.
It's Star Wars, dude. We're space wizards, laser swords, fire in space. And that's the thing is people always want to point out how Star Wars isn't like reality. But then when we go to the human side of emotion part of it, it seems to short our circuits out.
But again, if you keep breaking all the rules that came before and breaking them just for the plot, then nothing matters because there are no rules. If there are no rules, the plot doesn't matter.
Both of our viewers have pointed out that crystal bleeding was in the Vader comics by Marvel, and it is shown as like a more ritual setting in the comics, and those comics are canon. So, like, it has been done. Yeah, so it has been shown before, and that's what I'm saying. Like, this was done differently than it's been done before. I mean,
Yep.
Even
was trained Jedi by unique.
No, and I agree with Don too. Like the idea that they've shown people who have the Force can do things in all of the movies. Like it's not like, oh, you have to be trained. Like that's a trope that we've fallen into. I don't think it's about training, and that's one of the things they did try to say in the show. It's like the Jedi were training you in a specific way and it wasn't working, and it's not your fault. It's not that you don't have the ability to do it. It's the Jedi want you to follow their rules, and if you follow those rules, you're not using your full potential. Like that's what Smilo Ren says to Osha.
I'm sorry, but like this just breaks so many different things, and it just, again, everything that happens in this happens to further the plot, whether it makes sense or not. And I just cannot get behind this at all. I know you love it, Don, but like,
you don't have to like it.
When the constant excuses, but space wizards, as Classic X Books is saying in our chat, then again, if nothing matters, then the plot doesn't matter, because anything can happen at any time, and that means that there are no stakes.
Okay,
and you can't invest in it.
All right.
Remember when Goku was almost about to die, and then he turned Super Saiyan because Krillin died? Well, hey,
right, because he had never felt that kind of rage before, and it's rage that would trigger rage is what was used to trigger the transformation into a Super Saiyan, and Goku
until his child did it at 6 years old for no reason.
Well, that's because he's a human hybrid. Jeez, like there are reasons for all of this. They go into them, but
there's a question for Don, and Thrawn brings up an excellent point. I don't mind the difference, but her acting didn't bring across the proper amount of anger. Right. Like she really didn't, I didn't get emotion from her in that scene. It was just like, she was just standing there and the crystal turned red. Like she wasn't seething. She was
surprised.
Right.
It's like, wow, does the emotion of surprise turn a lightsaber red?
Like even if she just like screamed out in anger, like if Soul had died and then she like stood up and screamed, and while she's screaming it turned red, it would have been like, oh, that works. Like I would
give it a pass at that point, but
right.
Okay, so I'll answer the question, which I guess I'm not an expert on how, or I guess particular on how I feel one should express their rage. To me personally, while you're choking the guy that you love and who's loved you, try nothing to do other after killing your mother, do nothing to protect you, and you choke the motherfucker to death, you're pretty angry. But sure, if you need yelling or whatever, okay, I have no defense against that if that's your taste. I'm just saying I could get it. Not everybody does certain things when they're angry.
Okay. Explain this to me, Don.
Yes.
Why did they decide, instead of May running off with them, why did they decide, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to erase your memory back to when you were 6 years old.
Well, that made no sense.
And then we're just going to leave you in this forest.
Okay, why would they?
Why did they do that? What was the plan there?
Hold on. Before Don answers, here's my opinion. They did that to try to set up a season 2. But go ahead, Don.
Exactly. For the plot. No other reason.
Okay, because honestly, Dave, I agree with you. I mean, the only other thing I can tell you is that May just wants to help her sister. She spent all these years thinking she was dead. Here she is alive. She's got this opportunity that they see it. It's a fucked up opportunity. I'm not saying these characters are like righteous at all, or that they're normal or make the decisions that they should be making. They're not, but they are also fucking teenagers. I live with a teenager. They do dumb shit for like no reason. It makes me crazy. So I can't answer for any of that. If that's what you think flawed writing is, okay, I understand. If you think doing things just for the plot, I'll say I'm not sure how you like anime, but okay, you don't like it. I like to sit down and enjoy Star Wars stuff. Dude, I've seen anime stuff where they bring a fucking chalkboard and start drawing shit for you to understand how it works.
But it's the same thing. Never mind. Look, okay, how about this?
But
Vanessa goes. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Vanessa, I hate that. I hate her. She's the villain of the.
Okay,
you think there was going to be a big? You think Plagueis would be like the villain, but you're like, oh, cool, Plagueis, and then the Jedi are the shits.
At best, Plagueis should have been in his teens when this happened, but of course he's some kind of Smeagol troglodyte in a cave somehow.
He was doing the Gollum one day. He was.
Yeah, they're again. They're just messing with canon, with timelines and people's and when people are alive and when these things are happening. But okay, Vernestra goes in front of the Council of Lies.
Where is the thing that says this is where this is how old Plagueis was? Like,
so
where is that?
So Vernestra goes to the Council and lies to them, and then in the end,
spoilers,
she pops up in front of. She pops up in front of the puppet, right? In front of what's his name? Damn it.
Yoda?
Yoda. In front of Yoda.
God.
In front of the Yoda puppet, right? And says, we have to talk. Okay, so now Yoda and the other guy know that something happened now, and they know the real story, and yet they're both looking in, a couple of in the movie, they're both sitting there going, oh, what is this? There's Sith all of a sudden after 1,000 years. Like when you're
who said that? Who said anything about Sith? Vernestra blames the shit on Soul.
She said she's
doing so because the senator.
I would assume that she told
already
them,
said you Jedi.
I would assume she told them. Never mind.
No, but what's bothering me about the ending is I would assume Yoda would be able to tell she's lying.
Right.
Like,
because again, if he doesn't know that she's lying, then they've impugned his master.
And this is what pisses me off the most about the ending is that Yoda should be able to tell she's lying, or at least she's uneasy with what she's saying to him, and then he would be questioning her. But I think he should be able to tell she's lying, which means Yoda's in on it.
He should have been able to tell that there were Jedi dying.
You are now besmirching Yoda by involving him in the end of this show.
He should have known that he should have felt that those Jedi were dying when they were dying. Like he should have felt that.
An interesting point. That I will say that I will agree, and we don't know though. So fade to black. I'm not going to judge something I didn't see because she goes up to Yoda. And we don't have any proof that he doesn't. Okay. But you're correct. Like, I agree. This could potentially put Yoda in a bad light. I guess that's something I don't personally have a problem with because Yoda pretty much already knew that Anakin was going to turn and didn't do nothing about it. So Yoda is not like squeaky clean to me in my eyes. So I don't have a counterpoint to that, and I don't have a problem with that. But I'm just not
besmirch the name of Yoda.
Hey, listen, and I know, and listen, that's what's happening here with Star Wars. Is there are characters that people have in their head are a certain way, and Disney is coming in and adding context to certain characters, certain events, and they are changing somewhat. I mean, look at Boba Fett. Boba Fett in Legends he established the new Mandalorians and became Mandalore. Now in Disney, he's the king of Tatooine and chilling in Jabba's old place. So and now Din Djarin is basically the Mandalorian. You know,
I'm not saying
so
that was good either.
I get that part of it.
All right, how about I'm not picking on you, but
no, pick on me, John. I love you, buddy. Don't worry about it. You can pick on me. Listen, just the same as you guys.
I don't want to pick on you, but
I will pick on you guys, but no one else better. Okay, you understand what that?
Okay, fair enough. Who was the protagonist of this whole show?
Who the fuck knows? I mean, really?
Exactly.
I don't care. This is the whole story, and I guess we're talking about Acolyte episode 8 because we're already talking about the Yoda.
Yeah.
This is basically showing how Darth Plagueis came to the knowledge of how to make Anakin. That's all it really is at this point.
I thought he didn't make Anakin. I thought Anakin was the Force.
We don't actually know yet. That is kind of an assumption of mine.
God forbid that
this is where this is like the
I mean, if you listen to what Palpatine says in the Revenge of the Sith, I think it's Revenge of the Sith. Like he basically says, Plagueis the Wise learned how to create life from the Force, and taught it to his apprentice, and then his apprentice killed him. He says all of that, which is inferring that actually Palpatine created Anakin. You know.
It could because, and understand this. This is really kind of mind blowing if you don't know this. Plagueis lived up until Palpatine became the Supreme Chancellor, and him and Plagueis were like celebrating that. Palpatine like got Plagueis drunk, and then fucking he was talking shit and then Force lightning and fucking fried his ass. Anywho, I mean that's crazy to think of though. Like Plagueis was alive during Episode 1. Talk about age, but that's canon.
Drew says the stranger isn't Sith; he's a fallen Jedi.
That would.
I agree. I agree.
What is it? The orange saber guys, right?
He says
the dark Jedi.
I don't know. He says that he says the word Sith though. Like I don't.
Right.
He says what you people would call a Sith.
Well,
he's got something with Venestra going.
But Headland is saying that they're Sith. Headland is saying that they're Sith. She's just her writing is being coy to be edgy and cool when it's really just dumb.
Thrawn gets it. Yeah.
Plagueis just stumbled upon the virgins because he's like the Forrest Gump of the Sith, always getting into shit. Oh, Thrawn, that's perfect.
It's true. Like Plagueis isn't like your like big badass Sith. Like he really is the type of Sith that just like knows shit and yeah. Here he is on Bendoc.
Can we all agree that was a waste of a cameo? Plagueis like peering out of a cave at the end of the show, like it
was a waste of 2 cameos.
I don't know, man. I dug
Plagueis
it because I think Plagueis is still a big mystery in the Star Wars universe. And when you think of the age of the Star Wars universe, the fact that we still have these characters that are interesting and we don't know a whole lot about, I like that shit. And so I would, just like if I saw some sort of show in a Darth Revan mask, got flashed or something. I like that shit. And I like the fact that we get this little glimpse, but everybody fucking knows, right? Like, we know who that is. The show doesn't even tell you. So honestly, we cannot forthright say that was Plagueis. Like we just know.
But go
Go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead. Hate on her. Go ahead,
But
baby.
no,
problem.
the last person that should have ever introduced Darth Plagueis is Leslie Headland, former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein.
That's unfair, man. That's unfair.
You keep harping on that fact, and
Well, now I can say ruiner of Star Wars canon, but you know,
Yeah, it's like that was
destroyer
who
of
shot
plot.
JR,
I mean,
baby.
you know, it's like,
I'm
come
sorry.
on.
I gotta wait. I'm sorry. I gotta wait for you to bring those up. But yes, who shot JR? Was it Plagueis? Was it Palpatine? Was it Kibir?
Oh my god.
yeah. All right.
Just here to have fun with it, man. That's all.
Here's the other thing too. By the time you get to the end of the series, the thing they said when they presented the idea of this show to people was it's 100 years before the Phantom Menace, because we wanted something that was completely unconnected to the Skywalker saga. I personally feel by the time we get to the end, this is tied into the Skywalker saga, regardless of your feelings, because we all know where this is going. And it's like you said, the Virgins allowed them to create life. Plagueis, you assume, is there to learn this knowledge so then he can create. So it's still tied into the Skywalker saga. Like, sorry. Like,
That's
don't
fair.
you lied to us again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I think we've beaten this, and thank God it's over.
That's not over.
Season 2's coming.
There's people campaigning for season 2 heavy.
I don't. Yeah. That 14% that likes it on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, I'm sure that they are.
Okay, John, I love you, man. John, I love you, man. But please, in the future, do not reference a review bomb or the critical thinker or drinker. Sorry, like, please stop. Like, don't associate yourself with.
Here's
quality,
the thing,
sir.
Here's the thing, and let's be 100% honest. There were plenty of people who watched this. I feel like it still had decent ratings by the end.
We don't know what the ratings were.
No, because they don't release those numbers. But I know a lot of people who did watch the whole thing, us included, and this was like the most talked about thing online the entire time it's been running. So it was social media buzz all over the place for Lucasfilm. And that's what they're
famous.
Those are the things that they're going to look at when they decide whether or not they're going to do a season 2. Not was it good, you know, did people like it or not? Because they don't care. If people are watching and talking about it, that's what they care about. Drew C., I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I liked it making sense of a bunch of stupid prequel stuff. John does not agree with that assessment at all, Drew.
No, I won't. I won't. I won't watch a season 2. Like, I don't feel like there's any reason for me to, because there's nobody to root for, and nothing matters because anything can happen, and
unless season 2 is
nobody cares about plot or canon or anything.
If season 2 is the rise of Plagueis, you know, to being a Sith Lord, then I'll watch it. Then you've got my interest. But if it's more of this junk, like, nah. Maybe Plagueis kills one of the two of them. Maybe he kills Smilo Ren, and then Osha becomes the master and starts training him, and then he turns on Osha and kills her. Then we'll all be happy. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that out loud?
You know what people should watch, and I don't think you have this in our news section, Dave. They should be watching was it My Adventures with Superman, and was it Isekai, Suicide Squad Isekai. You should watch those. Those are worth a watch, most definitely.
All right.
Suicide Squad Isekai is really, really good. And My Adventures with Superman had one shot, one little sequence, like for about 15 seconds in the last episode that made the whole show for me.
Hello, Mr. Anti-Idiotic. So it's funny. I I have watched the first 6 episodes of this season, I think, or 5 episodes
of My Adventures of Superman.
Yeah, My Adventures of Superman, and then ended up coming. We turned the TV on. We got in last night we went out to dinner, and Karen and I turned the TV on and put on Adult Swim and caught the last 5 minutes or 5 or 10 minutes of the final episode of the season. So I know how it all ends. I mean,
Why did you do that to yourself?
I didn't know it was on. I was just flipping around, and I'm like, "Oh, it's My Adventures with Superman." I was like, "Where's this at?" And then I realized, "Oh,
son of a bitch!"
Talk about screwing yourself.
I got to catch up with that, guys. Are we going to catch back up with that at some point?
Or?
We should, because it is really good. And again, there's that 1 15-second sequence in the last episode 10 of season 2, that really made the whole thing for me. I
it was a little bit of a Maury Povich. It's Jerry Springer level. Hey, they're stabbing people with lightsabers and stuff.
Well, it could be a Maury Povich. It could be Plagueis sitting there going, "Who's the daddy?"
And then
that would be a great skit.
This is what I agree with this. I like the Kung Fu movie inspired fight scenes as well. Like the wire work in this show is great.
So, what do we got next?
All right.
Right.
I got one little thing I wanted to say before we do the social media shout outs. So there, the show is growing. We're getting a bigger audience. We've got more people even watching tonight.
People are watching us? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's what all those comments are that keep coming up. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate all our new fans. Thank you for watching. You are free. You are 100% free to comment on our videos if you don't agree with us and say, "Hey, I don't like what you said here," or "You're wrong here. This is what I think," whatever. You're not free.
That way we know who you are so we can come find you if you disagree.
You are not free to insult us.
I'm still getting those.
Yeah, someone just put on one of our videos and I deleted it. And that's the thing. I'm going to delete you and I'm going to probably block you from the channel if you do stuff like this, where it's just like they were talking about me and they were like, "Wow, that guy's really fat." And it's just like, whatever.
Oh no, somebody of rotund disposition on the internet. Oh, there can't be many of those. Like, I'm not exactly.
But here, I'm going to say this is. I forgot to include this in the stuff. Somebody said this about me last week when we talked about Arcane, which you and I did not agree on, but I don't hate the show. I just wasn't hooked in. Like that was my criticism. So this is from Guts V 2670. I don't know what it's supposed to be. And he goes, quote, "I'm not saying don't give me something new," end quote. "Here's one of the best animated series of all time. Quote, why do I have to watch something new I have to think about? Give me instant gratification," end quote. Blimey. Christ on a bike. Talk about someone being almost willfully dense. Well, it's their loss. Okay, so see, I brought that up. You call me willfully dense. I don't know if I agree with that, because I just said that it didn't hook me in. Other shows hook me in. Other shows hook me in that I end up not liking at the end, but I'll watch the whole thing, straight through. But I also think saying it's the greatest animated show ever made, it's a little heavy-handed. It's good. I wouldn't say it's great.
Also, anybody that insults any of us because of our looks or body type or whatever, come back and comment after you graduate middle school, because seriously, we're adults, and if that's your level of intellectual discourse, then you just need to go back and finish remedial, your GED or something, because we would like a higher level of discourse here.
Yes.
And insults, all we're going to do is laugh at you.
If I don't make John shake his head at least once, my work is not done. Thrawn.
Keep working, Thrawn Kill. I love your stuff, man.
Thrawn, he said, "Christ on a bike is a saying He said blimey, so I have to assume he's either British or English
Yeah.
or Australian. So it's
I
got to
would've
be a
gone with
saying.
Christ on
Blimey,
a stick,
Christ
but-
on a bike.
I
Christ
would
on a
have
bike. Yeah, that's what it's got to be.
Christ on a stick
Australian.
is the one I know, but
Oh, that's God. Christ on a stick.
Christ on a stick.
Blimey, Christ on a stick. Okay. Funny.
But
Good
that's
call.
it. That's all.
That
That's
comment was
all I
just
wanted to
Okay,
say about
yep.
about
Classic
social
textbooks
media.
got it.
So if you want to know how you can follow us on social media and
Classic.
be part of Social Media
Cool.
Madness next week, here's our good friend Don to tell you more.
Hey, great show tonight, right? But I bet you also want to be part of Social Media Madness, and you can. You just head on over to superheroespeak.com where we have all of our social media links. And while you're there, you can check out links to the show, comic reviews by Chris, other stuff that we're adding on there all the time. So again, check out superheroespeak.com. And while you're already on the interwebs, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars podcast network. Great shows like the Pop Prison Power podcast, Colt 45, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain podcast, That's So Wizard, and Superhero Speak. So on your social media app, just go ahead and type in hashtag GW All-Stars, and you will not be disappointed. Now, I'm sure the present me has refilled his alcoholic beverage and wiped the sweat from under his man tits, so we can get back to the show.
Oh, dude,
Obviously,
you're
I'm
supposed to insult
very
me.
susceptible. I would say, obviously, I'm very susceptible to being insulted. So please don't call me fat. But
I
yeah,
had to use that one because you weren't here last week. You know, that's
yeah. Sorry, John. I ramrodded right through you. I'm sorry.
I know you're supposed to insult me. That's what I'm saying. You're not supposed to insult yourself.
Classic
Insult
Xbox
me. Go
says-
ahead. I can take it, man.
That is a saying in the UK.
I've been divorced
so
twice. I can't be hurt by anything you say.
Okay.
Christ on a bike is a saying in the UK. Drew says, Dave,
Boy,
you are
me.
very open-minded. I'd like to see you give Full Metal Alchemist a try.
Okay, wait. Drew.
I need to give Full Alchemist.
Yeah, Drew. Full Metal Alchemist, the original, or Brotherhood? Which one, Drew? That makes that makes a difference. So go ahead. But I would agree with Drew. Like either one, Dave should watch. So go ahead.
Don, did you wipe your man?
No. Yeah, no,
Oh,
I
for
didn't. And that's because I've been vacationing in South Carolina, which was very hot and muggy. And then coming up here to Ohio where I live, and I live in North Ohio, South Shore. So actually it's kind of a little bit chilly. I mean, it's summer, it's hot, but so no, I'm doing pretty good tonight. I just got me another beer.
And Drew, that is the correct answer. Thank you. You've won the Superhero Speak No prize.
All right. While you're here, if you haven't done so yet, please click that subscribe button. Click the bell for notifications so you don't miss us when we go live. Smash that like button because it really does help with the algorithm. And if you feel like it, please go to our merch store and buy a Superhero Speak t-shirt. Show your love for the podcast. Link is in the description down below. And it'll really help us out. And yeah. So I am babbling because there we go. I couldn't find the right overlay. Don, do you want to tell what's going on with Omega Level Nerds? You still talking Acolyte?
Well, I mean, I was on vacation last week, so actually, as much as I'm a fan of the Acolyte, I'm on fucking show. I didn't actually get to talk to Finale, but we will this week, and we'll get some more time to digest it. So Omega Level Nerds on YouTube. But Dave, what I really wanted to tell you though was the fact that, just FYI, for the kids that may listen, when you say smash that like button, it's like saying fuck that like button. Just saying, throwing that out there. If you weren't aware of that vernacular, we're not trying to be that sort of show,
In the
Maybe we are. Maybe we are. Maybe you like us so much you want to make love to that like button.
In the words of one great American cartoon icon, phrasing.
All right, well, let's take a quick commercial break and come back.
Some podcasts are like this.
What's the animal in this world that you fear the least? Fish. Animal. Fish. Don't start. Don't. You're starting, and I'm not.
A fish is an animal.
No, it's not. I'm talking about an animal, like a real animal, like
Fish.
No,
Fish is
being
animal.
hard-headed. I'm talking about that's like saying like an ant. That's not an animal. That's a sea creature.
What? It's a sea creature. A fish is an animal.
You can't go to the zoo and see a fish. They don't have zoo fishes.
There's actually so many fishes.
There's fish zoos. You can go to a fish zoo.
No,
Oh.
there's so many fish that they have their own f***ing attraction called an aquarium.
No, they don't. No, that's different. That's like sharks and shit. Those are animals.
Fish!
No,
Fish!
No, that's why they have different names. Sharks and fish. Why are you being political? I'm talking about an animal like a monkey, zebra, tiger, bear.
Okay.
And some podcasts are like this.
What's your take?
Since the fucking pandemic, everyone and their mother went on Amazon, got a microphone, got the whole kit set up, little filter, and now it's like they're important and we want to hear what they have to say about food, sports, culture. Who gives a
You don't like podcasts?
No, I think it's people jerking themselves off on the air to make pretend they're doing something with their life.
If you already have a podcast, you can keep doing it, but it should be illegal to start a new podcast.
Get if you like doing like social justice or covering like current events, but just to talk about stupid sports, food, this and that is garbage, bro.
Wait, do you have a podcast?
Out of here, bro.
You're on a podcast right now.
I'm happy to participate in this one and let you know how I feel about all these jamooks out here running around thinking there's somebody important, like we want to listen to what they have to say.
What's a jamook?
Jamook, lame-brained. You know a jamook? A person of mental or physical incompetence due to their own lack of grace or social aptitude.
I like this definition. Jamook. Idiot, loser, lame-brained, a jamook.
Yeah.
But only one podcast is where you can get in-depth analysis like this.
They're breaking down the sub, the U.S. Phillips and the top brass are talking about what the fuck happened. And Phillips is like, look, bro, I wanted an army of you assholes, not just you. Go fuck out of here. I don't care. But the Senator Brandt, I was like, hold on, fam. I see opportunity.
Hey, we got a guy here. It's a super soldier.
I see a big, greasy, sweaty, swole, sexy man right here. We're gonna slap you on some labels, bitch. About to walk this track for America.
Yeah. Shake your ass on the curb for America.
Bounce that ass for the U.S. of A.
Bounce that ass for the U.S.
I want dancing girls.
Dancing girls. And America's ass.
You are now listening to Cult 45.
This is Beat 'em Down.
And I'm Random Randy Savage.
Find us on all your podcatching apps like Podbean or Spotify. And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Or just go to www.cult45podcast.com.
Also, check out our YouTube for that sweet, sweet video content.
Cult 45, the only podcast that puts hair on your chest.
Randy, we need a new commercial. All right. So wait, Drew said, smash the like button. That's what I do every time he says it. I don't want to know what Drew's keyboard looks like. All right, let's talk some news. Your mic is off, by the way, John, before we start talking.
I know.
We actually have comic book news this week, guys. Imagine a comic book podcast actually talking about comic book news. The first one, we've talked about this quite a bit on the show. The AI is taking over the world. And Dark Horse is the first comic book company to officially make it part of their company policy that they will not use any AI art or AI written scripts for their comics.
Good.
So,
because that stuff is flooding everywhere, from what I understand. Like, I mean, at the very least, AI generated books are flooding Amazon.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and
buying them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a numbers game too, right? If you can write 1,000 books, put them all on Amazon, and you get 100 people to buy it, you're going to make some kind of a profit.
Well, that's the thing. If you spend literally 3 minutes generating that book, it comes down to a phrase that I use a lot. It's a oh my God, and the phrase is gone. I am off tonight. But the thing is, like, you spend 3 minutes, 100 people buy it thinking, oh, here's an interesting book, I'll give it a try. And, you've already made bank, and then you can just keep on going. And that's why Amazon a couple of years ago has set their policy that you can only upload 5 books a day or something like that. Like even that though is just economies of
Yeah,
scale.
that's crazy.
It's an economies of scale. Like
And
if there are if there's 100 million people on Amazon, you're guaranteed to make your money back for 3 minutes of work.
And I actually saw something not that long ago about a guy who made like all this money on Amazon, and basically what he was doing was he would write a short book, and every couple of months, and the 3 main topics were how to make money, how to relationship advice, and weight loss. So he would just look up what the current trends were, write a short book based on that, put on Amazon, and like they're the ones that get the most hits, the most searches. He would sell so many, make money, and once it stopped selling, he would write the next one, put it up there, and this guy was like I don't know if he was a millionaire or not, but made like had a decent living doing this. And that's all he was doing.
He's got no soul at that point, but
why?
He's gaming the system.
I guess
no,
like,
I'm not
that's like
I mean I know where I'm agreeing with you, Don. Like, yeah, why is he a bad guy? He learned how to game the system. You're just pissed because you didn't think of it first.
No,
exactly.
I
me with making videos. Like my only hope being a nerdy guy is the nerdy shit I want to talk about is somehow trending. Like this, like if I didn't have already a fulfilling career and I didn't do this as a hobby, that's what I would do. I'd go to the fucking Google every day. What's trending? Boom, make a video about it. We already know this, so that's all he's doing. But he's just doing
and
it.
A lot of people do that right now. Yeah, I mean, in fact, I've seen them ad for this where it's like you can just do that. Like, just take the trending topics, use AI tools to make a video for like a short form video for TikTok or whatever. Put it up, and you're going to get the most views because you're doing trending, and you just keep doing that over and over again. There are people who will flood the social media with like thousands of these videos that they're making all the time off of AI. Yeah, it's crazy. Like,
and then there's somebody like me who could script that so it's automatic, and I just sit there and watch the money roll in.
Right.
But then
dead internet theory.
Yes. Oh no, I was learning about that for the last 2 weeks. But yeah, I mean that's exactly what's happening is dead
most
internet
traffic
theory.
On the internet is bots and AI. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't trust anything you see anymore. Literally nothing.
No,
not a photo,
you cannot
not a video,
trust
not
us
anything.
on this screen right now. We might all be AI generated.
No, if we were AI generated, we would look a lot better. we would all look like George Clooney. You can trust us because we ugly.
Exactly. That's what you got to look for is the flawed, so you know that it's human. That's what we got to train ourselves to do.
Yeah, but even so, again,
it's all Max Headroom. Remember that guy?
Yeah,
we'll be there soon.
Yeah. But like Philip DeFranco keeps saying, AI is as bad as it's ever going to be right now. And so at some point they will start adding flaws in like they did with video in like video games, right? Like they got to a point where everybody was perfect and they had pretty damn good lifelike models, but then they had to start adding flaws in to get way past the uncanny valley. They're going to do that here at some point. You know, at some point, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between a real video and somebody. And
even our audience is AI generated. Drew doesn't realize he's just an AI bot. Show us your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
We gamed the systems. We made a bot audience, and now we're gonna take over the internet with our bots.
Yes. So
Doom bots.
And it's funny because in the article they point out that Jim Lee, who's in charge of DC Publishing, has said he's against AI. But yes, but he's the first one. But Dark Horse is the first one to officially make it a company policy. So hopefully the other publishers will follow suit, even though Image has already gotten into trouble with an AI generated image that won a contest for Spawn. So we'll see.
Jim
But
Lee's
I
only
think
against
it's
AI because it can do
pretty-
feet better than him.
Well, I think in general, though, AI are anything AI related in comic books is going to have a pretty strong negative stigma. So, yeah, Dark Horse may be the first, but I'm sure DC and Marvel, and it's going to stink real bad if somebody makes AI generated comic book art or stories or whatever, both combined.
Yeah, and like Drew's saying, headline the next 6 months: AI art found in Dark Horse Comics. Drew in our comments. Yeah, well, it's going to be hard to keep it out because you're going to get artists that are like, I'm under a deadline. I need something quick. And oh, look, here's a tool that can generate 4 panels for me in like 5 minutes instead of 5 hours. Complete with coloring. Like.
But what if they start, okay, but just like you said there, okay, and that could help artists. Let's say they come up with an art style, a couple of panels, what have you, feed that into the AI, and then have the AI help them kind of complete it. What say you? It helps the person meet their deadline.
Okay.
And they can obviously control okay, they're saying, okay, this is mine. They'll have their own editing process, obviously. What do you think?
As someone who knows about large language models and how they're generated and is working with people at my company that are working on AI stuff, I can say that, yes, if you have enough work pre-existing, you could feed them into a large language model, train it to mimic your style specifically, as long as that's all that you feed into it. But you'd have to have a lot. And then, yes, basically you could ask it to generate more panels, and technically those panels are, your art. But here's the thing. Real art is made by somebody who at every single point when they're drawing something or coloring something or whatever, they're making decisions, using the anxiety machine up here. And there's no way that, you'll get the generic art from an AI program, but you won't get like the little nuances and stuff that a human would add as they're doing it and coming up with ideas as they're doing it.
Sure, but if that human can make money for their family on 3 jobs instead of 1 because of the time they save, and it's still their art, and again, they're editing what they're turning in.
Yes. No human has ever turned that scenario down.
So,
like, there's no way. Right. You're right. That will definitely happen.
Here's the thing. It's where do you draw the line? Because AI is coming. We're not going to get rid of it. But like, in a sense, like, I'm trying to think how to say it. Like an example of an AI use that I wouldn't care about is adding shadow and like if you draw the base image and then you can go into Photoshop and say the light source is here, add the shadows, because there've been tools for years that already do that, right? Like, and then in a way that's a form of AI. So like that's okay, but like to completely generate the whole thing is where it's like, well, no, because it's not your art. You just typed in a prompt.
I could see that.
That is an incredibly salient point, because that is the problem. They've had stuff with Photoshop, all these different plugins that do a ton of that stuff. And so where is the demarc between this is an artist's work and this is AI generated work? Now you could say somebody who's doing it by hand, it's definitely there. It's easy to tell the demarc. It's the stuff that you did by hand and the stuff that you asked an AI program to do. Like there's a difference. They're right. But people that use Photoshop, which I guess a lot of artists use, then you're walking a fine line there. It's I don't know. Like our again, me, John, being the killjoy here, as AI gets better and better, and we've seen like they now have AI that I forget the name of it, but they have a couple of different AI systems that generate full video now that still messes up
they do.
hands. But like I I fear for the future that my nephews are going to grow up in with this going on, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, because they're going to look at it as like, well, no, that's just how the world is. And
but you won't be able to trust anything you see anymore.
Right. Exactly.
It's almost as if you shouldn't trust anything unless it's right in front of you and you could touch it.
Exactly. But like, if you think, and again, I know we don't like to touch
just like how Drew touches his phone.
Hey, but if you think how bad politics is now, imagine when like a team from one politician can just in 3 minutes come up with a video
of their it's dead, it's dying.
But it's not just the political system. Like what if somebody who doesn't like an artist comes up with a couple of videos about that artist, of showing that artist doing something they really shouldn't and is completely illegal. When it becomes really easy to do that, and in a way that it's very hard to tell whether that's an AI generated video or not.
Yeah.
You know?
Real quick, Classic Xbook says a digital tool is something everyone can and do use in comics. However, it's who or what that's behind the driving wheel.
Right.
A person still gives it something that an algorithm AI can't. Yes. Like
agreed.
That. Yeah, agreed. Like, where's the soul? You know, whether you believe in a soul or not, you know, art is always believed to have been an expression of the soul. So when a computer's doing it, they don't.
I think of it more of
energy just doesn't disappear, baby.
Yeah. It's not soul. It's like, I mean, for me, it's not soul. It's intention. It's intention and wisdom, right?
Right.
Those are the things that an artist would use at every single moment that they're drawing something. Like, that's the difference between them going, oh, I just had a great idea, and starting to draw something a little bit different than an AI would, because all it knows is what's come before and will just mimic that for the rest of existence.
Thrawn asks,
kill? Yeah,
What if I get faked in a video and get sent to a game show with real gladiators and I have to fight for my freedom? You are describing the future of this country, my friend. That is what's going to happen starting in 2025. So don't worry about it. We're headed there. You're good.
Then you move to the EU, which has
Ron Kill working on the working on the Running Man 2 script. I see.
Nice.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, that's when you move to the EU, where they have much more stringent regulation on your personal information and visage. In America, you'd lose that, and they'd be able to use you for whatever they want.
You know what we haven't had from DC in a while? A good reboot of everything.
Oh, it's been 2 minutes. Where's our reboot? Oh, here it comes.
Oh wait, real quick. Drew says my daughter loves these cookie cutter Korean shows that I just met that are just mass produced. Even 80s cartoons were considered amazing works of art, but they were mass produced to sell toys.
Yeah,
but
super legit.
But there were still people behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. You ever see Bluey, man? Come on, that's some generic shit right there. It's got to be.
Look at Masters of the Universe. You had like 2 frames per minute or something.
Yes. Oh, but I had every fucking toy.
Yeah.
17
no,
Batman
silly.
books.
20.
Going back to
so they're launching what they're calling the Absolute Universe, which feels like a play on Ultimate Universe. DC, come up with something original here.
I have something to add to this.
Or maybe they're all drunk on vodka. We'll see.
And the premise behind this, now this is right now it's a parallel universe. It's like the What If books or the Elseworlds. It's not a complete replacement of the universe, but there's going to be a Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman book, blah blah blah, a Justice League. You know, they're going to do the whole thing because they're not selling enough books, and the premise behind it, I'll give them. It's kind of a little interesting, but how long does it last? like to me, it's a premise that's not a good ongoing premise. The heroes are the underdogs. Like it's a world where villainy is taken over, and the heroes rise to fight them. So they're the underdogs. Like Lex has all the power, and Superman's coming up and trying to fight him, but he's not. He's the underdog in the fight. It's a difficult fight to try to win.
So to add to this, have you kept up with the DC Final Crisis animated show? The 3 movies that they put out?
No, I want to watch them
1, 2,
because
and 3.
it's the final performance of Kevin Conroy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah, it is. And man, going at it like a badass, man. Well, jeez. But here's the thing. Okay, would you mind some spoilers?
No, go for it.
Because it goes towards this. DC is doing this reboot. Now this animated universe only lasted like 4 years.
Yeah.
And maybe 6 movies or 7, or was it, man, well, maybe 8 movies in total, including the 3 Crisis movies, which is pitiful. It's just 4 years. But in Final Crisis, they destroyed the Bruce Timm universe, the Super Friends universe, and a few of the others. And I'm wondering if they're doing that on purpose, saying that this absolute universe is now the universe that you should follow because we've killed all the others.
Let's be honest.
Just like the CW one killed like the Birds of Prey universe,
right?
The Batman 86 universe.
Let's be honest. If these books sell and they do better than the main continuity, they'll become the main continuity. Like
true, yeah,
right. Like that's just a simple business move. So yeah, I can see that. I just think it's weird to like take a concept, but now we're gonna launch a whole universe on this concept. Like, why not just give us a couple one shots? Do a absolute Batman story where he's the underdog and he's fighting the Joker, and then do an absolute Superman and an absolute Wonder Woman. And if people like it, then launch a universe. But this, like the article saying, like they're all in on this, like they're going full bore.
It does sound like Marvel Ultimates, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, what Don, are you interested in this concept? I mean, I know you're a Marvel guy, but still.
Yeah. I am interested because, what if this is where a bunch of people jump in because they can? Because
Right.
it's a new universe. But at the same time, how are you going to make Superman an underdog? I can see everyone else, and it's a great concept.
Bring him back to his original power level from the 30s and 40s, where he really can't fly. It is leaping tall buildings, and he's strong, but not strong enough to pull
nobody
a
wants
planet.
to see that. At least let him fly.
I agree. No, I agree. Like, that seems boring as fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he gets there one day. Sure. Okay. But as far as everyone else being underdogs, I mean, come on. Is that not the most interesting? What's there at stake if the hero could just do whatever? Dragon Ball Z, they've always basically, how do we make the story matter because Goku exists? Oh, Goku's dead. Whatever. Oh, Goku's back now. There's this other motherfucker that's like that type powerful. You've got to do that. So yeah, again, it does sound like the Ultimates. It does sound New 52-ish, but I can't quite disagree with the strategy, because if they want to present something that we can all latch on to now that we're all right in this geek universe, we're no longer getting our asses kicked because we like comic books and D&D. Like, we're all the rage now. I've somehow been married twice. But here we are. It's pop culture. It's the thing. So I understand these attempts to put something out there in comics, that a universe that people can latch on and not have to worry about other continuities or other pieces of knowledge or information that they need to truly appreciate what's going on and what they read.
Drew says it's the annual reboot. How is it different from New 52? New 52 was hugely popular.
Well, Rebirth was really popular. New 52 had issues, which is why Rebirth came along, and then Rebirth was fairly popular.
Yes, that's actually what I was about to say. And that was part of the problem too, is that I kind of like the idea that they're doing this as a separate universe, because when they do these reboots and they want to like reform the universe, it gets confusing really fast to the average reader. And like one of the biggest problems, Drew, with New 52 was they relaunched all the titles, but Scott Snyder was working on Batman, and he was doing really popular and was in the launching the Court of Owls storyline with the New 52 reboot. So they let him keep the universe Batman and all his supporting characters the same as they were. They did not relaunch Batman. They didn't reboot Batman at that point. So everyone was so confused, because it's like, why is Batman still, and Damian is still Robin, and Dick Grayson is still Nightwing? Like all of that's the same, but Superman is flying around in jeans, and like it's year one for him. Like it made no sense, and people got confused, and I think that's why they went, okay, Rebirth, we're redoing it again.
Yeah. The original Superman made it through, and they killed the other Superman, and
so yeah.
Anyway, as much as I'm not a DC guy, I have Rebirth #1.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Green Lantern was half rebooted. Yeah,
the half reboots to soft reboots annoy me. I'm with you guys all the way. Like, if you're gonna reboot it, re-fucking boot it.
Exactly. Like, yeah. Because wait, were they in the middle of the Darkest Night storyline during the New 52? That might have been why.
Yeah, that was a big problem apparently.
Right. So like, because they had these big sweeping storylines that were planned out and started, like, and I don't disagree with
It was crazy, because I collected the Batman Rebirth. I'm like, oh, you know what, my brother Volsker, he likes Batman. I'm like, well, whatever. Let me. I'm like, wait a minute, what? This isn't fucking new Batman. Like, it was insane.
Yes, yeah. I have the Court of Owls collected edition, because it's a really good story. It is, but it's like it's totally separate from everything else that was going on in DC at that time. So we'll see. I think I'll probably catch the first couple issues, at least of Batman and Superman of Absolute, and see what it's about. So we'll see.
But the thing is, man, these newer comic book arcs they're showing themselves much earlier in like the MCU and shit. So you never know. It'll pop off and we see it on the big screen.
Ghostmaker? My favorite Batman character from Rebirth is Ghostmaker. Huh.
So look that one up, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one either.
Oh, okay. So it is Darkest Night had just finished. It just ended since they returned the core in issue 1. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now we can move on to movie news. Enough of that comic book nonsense.
You know what? Before we move from comic book nonsense, so let me, because I don't want it, because comic books are great, and I don't even currently collect them. But let me just interject a story here, if I can, real quick. I was just on vacation, but when I went down there was this shop in this little plaza called Bounty Hunters Emporium. You know, it had like a Darth Vader standee and shit. And you go in there, and it's basically like a flea market. And there was a comic section, okay? And like I'm flipping through it, and this is awesome to me. So I have Gambit #1, okay? But I never got the second, third, or fourth issues of that series. So here I am on vacation, flipping through this box of, it was like $3 an issue or 4 for 10. And I'm flipping through these boxes, and I find Gambit 2, 3, and 4. And I'm like, oh my God, I had just been thinking about how I needed to get those. And there they were. Also, I bought for my next door neighbor Fantastic Four #81. That was $30, but just a whole bunch of cool shit. So just comic book wise, I wanted to share that on my vacation. I found this cool little shop. I bought a Magneto pop. I bought a $2 Spider-Man promo hero click, like just cool nerdy shit. But again, I'm just so excited that I finally have the complete Gambit miniseries. I've always had issue 1, but I found issue 2, 3, and 4 in a fucking cheap ass box of comics, and that's just cool. If you're a comic collector, hopefully you appreciate that. Appreciate going through long boxes and just finding issues and shit that you need for cheap, because it's just a great feeling. So just before we move on from comics, I wanted to interject that, Dave.
And Thrawn says he just found the last issue of the Bishop from the 90s on vacation.
Yes, sir. That's what it's about. Awesome. Great feeling.
All right. So I think we said this not too long ago when the Russo brothers, who directed, obviously, Infinity War and Endgame, biggest Marvel movies, had said that at one point that they were done with Marvel. They wanted to move on to other things and whatnot. And now we find out that they are in talks to direct the next 2 Avengers movies. I say, why not? Like, they've proven themselves. We all like their work. What do you guys think? Do you like the Russo brothers, John?
Yeah. I mean, they'll probably do a better job than most. I'd go for that. They're hit. I find them hit or miss, but
I was going to say the only thing is, like, they were ending the Infinity Saga, and I'm sure they got a lot of direction from Marvel on what to do. So that was really hard to fail at. Let's be honest. So the question is, what can they do with a whole new Avengers concept?
But they did Avengers Endgame, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, so I mean, for this, I okay, I'm good for it. Yeah.
Yes, classic Xbox says, because the money was good, son. What do you think, Don? You excited for the Russo brothers to return?
No, I'm not a big fan of them. I mean, yes, they did a great job with the Infinity War and Endgame, but look at all the buildup that they got to take advantage of. And like you said, obviously, Kevin Feige had a pretty big say in what happened where. So to me, the Russo brothers just didn't screw up. So, okay, cool.
True.
And you know what? And now that I say that, I am excited for not screwing up.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Consider where Marvel is right now. You're absolutely correct, sir.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's part of the motivation too. It's like they know there's a lot riding on the next Avenger movies,
and they know they can do a big blockbuster too.
Right.
But Star Wars did that same move. The whole don't screw up with J.J. Abrams. He came in and did the Rise of Skywalker, which I, by the way, loved, but is banned by those on this very panel. So we could maybe get that.
Yeah, and Xbox has a point. They also did Winter Soldier, which is considered the best Captain America movie. So
I forgot about that.
Agreed.
I'm more in. Yeah, I'm more in for it now. I'd go for that.
Just waiting for the Christopher Guest X-Men movie. I think you're waiting a while.
I'd like to see a James Cameron X-Men movie.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Mr. Avatar and Terminator?
And Terminator 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, the thing
is... You know what? He's right. He's right.
But you got to wait 10 years in between X-Men movies if James Cameron's doing them.
Well,
yeah, and it would still be fucking awesome.
I could see it. I could see a cool, like, James Cameron Cable arc all day. I could see that. He does time travel. Time travel and metal skeletons.
And get Reitman to do one of the was it the I don't know, Werewolf by Night or something, a follow up to that, or Blade. Like there's a whole bunch of directors that they could get now that
didn't Robert Rodriguez. No, I'm sorry, I'm misspeaking.
Boo, Avatar. Yeah, I know. Wrong Avatar, right? Like, okay, he should have done Avatar: The Last Airbender, but instead he had, he got them mixed up with the Blue Man Group. So
that's terrible. Kassan, you're late.
Well, it is late. Go on, Dave.
All right. Okay. All right. We have 2 trailers we got to talk about because this is very important. We actually got the trailer for the Star Wars movie we all really want, or I'm sorry, Star Wars show that we all really want. And of course, it's Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy series trailer came out. If you haven't seen it yet, you can go over to Marvel's YouTube page and check it out. But not Marvel's, Star Wars or Disney's page.
Yeah. They're all the same now, Dave.
They are all the same until all are one. And it's like, I mean, it's
Transformers reference, nice.
It's funny because it's like it's your typical Star Wars Lego thing. There's like all this stuff that happens, and all of a sudden everything gets mixed up, and there's TIE Fighter X-Wings. But it's the end of the trailer. Did you guys watch it? That I wanted to talk about. We got the thing that people have joked about for years, rumors, all this stuff. We got Darth Jar Jar. I'm like, yes.
I'm
paying attention.
I'm surprised you got it here first instead of in Robot Chicken. But yeah.
I'm like, so I saw that and I'm like, I'm all in. I gotta watch this. I want to see Darth Jar Jar, even if it's just a fun animated show. I gotta.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny because Darth Jar Jar has always been kind of a thing. And in my Star Wars tabletop RPG game that's currently going on, one of the characters plays a Gungan. And in my storyline, they're actually cloned from enemies, and one of them is the Darth Gungan, and that's where I kind of got that idea from.
Darth
And
Gungan.
so I had him like, "You're gonna die now."
Misa gonna hurt Yusa now.
Yeah,
gonna die?
exactly. Misa gonna use Force lightning on you. But it's funny. But yeah, Star Wars Legos is funny. It's got its place in the overall mythos, which is, it's separate from canon, obviously.
Right.
But the games are terribly entertaining and funny. I'm not like super into the shows and whatnot. I'm not sure if you've seen the other ones, but for kids, it's awesome.
It is.
So, it's okay. I like it. It's fun.
I can watch it with my granddaughter, so it's fun. Real quick, Kassan said, I'm at a wedding and stepped out to check in on you guys. I was worried for Don. Acolyte proved it sucked. Thank you, Kassan. We love you.
Sorry, Don. But...
2 points. So obviously I disagree, Kassan. But point number 2, don't worry about me. I'm the goddamn juggernaut. I take, hit me with everything you got. I'm going to smile at you and tell you I love you. And I hope to enjoy the rest of your evening.
Don't worry. If we review Suicide Squad Isekai, I'm pretty sure that you can dunk on me a few times.
Yes.
So,
yes. And Kassan, don't drink too much at the wedding.
Yeah.
Or do, if you're not driving.
Well, yeah, seriously. But drink responsibly. Make sure you have a driver if you do.
So so Don has kids. He can watch it with them. I have granddaughters. I have an excuse to watch it. John, are you going to watch Star Wars Lego Rebuild the Universe or whatever it's called?
At least while I'm
Rebuild
folding
the
laundry. I mean, see, here's the thing.
Oh, it's that status, laundry status.
Well, I mean, like I'll be watching something and
it.
it's good enough. I'll forget to fold the laundry and I'll just go sit down. So, but the Star Wars Lego stuff, like all of the Lego stuff, is usually pretty damn good. So,
it is. It's entertaining.
It's got a charm.
Yeah. So, why don't they have those guys write more scripts for the real stuff? I mean, those guys
write a funny script, a childish scripts. The Star Wars that I like, the movies, the main shit, it has 2 layers. It has that child layer, but then it has that adult layer. And I think these guys are more on the child level.
I true, but I would say that those guys who are writing those scripts know way more canon than the guys writing the other scripts, and could actually come up with better material, better plots than the ones that we're getting so far. Those guys seem to love Star Wars. They love it like you do, Don. And I think they would give you exactly what you've always wanted but didn't know it.
Drew says, John has John. He can watch it by himself like all the other cartoons he's watched. I'm sorry,
Sadly,
John.
No. Sadly, he is correct.
He's out of line, but he's not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, just as an aside, Dave, I didn't tell you, but the woman that I was seeing broke up with me for I have no idea. So apparently I am too geeky and too weird for anybody. So Don is absolutely correct.
John, you got to give him the good D before you reveal all that, okay, buddy? After that, they won't care.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Hide all that. Hide it, and then you telling you. Done it multiple times.
Again, in the words of one great American cartoon icon, I am what I am, what I am, what I am. So,
no, motherfucker, what you is a good person, and you would take care of somebody, and you just got to not find a dumb bitch. That's all. Numbers game.
Yep, I'm the one who spent $6,000 on cats over the last 2 weeks because they can't. I
Cats are awesome.
Them.
No regrets.
Yeah. No regrets. No, none.
He's not. Don is not wrong.
So, yeah.
All right, moving on before John cries.
The next one, I already am set up for tickets with my next door neighbor. We're going to see it on Friday night.
All right. Well, yes, we got the final trailer, for Deadpool Wolverine. And I like, am I wrong? Did they like give away a lot more in this trailer than they have in anything else? And it's a very quick trailer too. It was
wish
like
they hadn't.
I kind of do. I agree. I kind of wish they hadn't given so much away. I think can't think of the actress's name. I think the biggest reveal is X-23 is back.
Yeah,
Daphne Keane is X-23,
which is awesome because
she denied in multiple interviews that she was involved with this movie at all.
Oh, we know enough to ignore that now. Like, if Marvel does one thing right, is they get a lot of people they get it right in the beginning where they get the actors to say, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not associated with that at all. I'm going to be doing something else at that point. Then they screw up by showing us trailers that like basically give the whole thing away, which I wish they wouldn't do.
I don't know if it gave the whole thing away. I think that we have a lot in store for us as far as what happens in this movie. Get to see Eliath, to see Daphne King.
I saw that. Yeah, Eliath.
It is a lot. I do worry that they are giving away the whole thing, but I don't think they're going to disappoint us. I don't think you bring in Hugh Jackman, Daphne King, along with Ryan Reynolds. You obviously put it in line with the Loki series. I think there's more shit that they're going to reveal.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's just going to be great fun.
Because that's the
classic. Classic is absolutely correct. Like of all the movies that are coming out, I mean, okay, they gave us spoilers, but this is the one where it's not going to make a difference because people are going to see this. This is the Marvel movie that people are going to go see.
I was talking with Karen's son last night, and one of the things he was saying is like, "Oh man, they showed so many cameos already," and I'm like, "Yeah." And I feel that like that's just the tip of the iceberg. I think this is a movie with like 100 cameos. Now it's gonna be super fast, and it's just gonna be like they came in for a day to shoot this one, 15-second scene. But I think there's gonna be a ton of cameos in this movie. Especially with the Deadpool core. Like, I think there's going to be some weird cameos in that as well.
I can't wait.
So yeah,
I mean, my wife wants to see Twisters, so yeah, I bet you it is doing. It's Miss Me on Kassan. I'm not looking forward to it. Yeah,
Classic X-Men or Classic Xbox does have a great point here. He said everyone is gonna they've already decided they're gonna see this movie. The trailer is not gonna change anything at this point, which is true. I mean, this is the week before the movie they dropped this trailer. It's not like they dropped it a month ago and gave all this stuff away. The things that I can say, the things that are most interesting to me from this trailer were, I feel like they're saying that this Wolverine is not our Wolverine that we've been following, right? Because
no way.
They show him, Wade talking about Wolverine and how he was a hero and all this stuff, and then this Wolverine is saying like, no, they wanted me to put this uniform on, I didn't want to do it. So like, yeah, this is a different Wolverine. And what was the other thing? They show Cassandra at that, yeah, but they show her at that console, and you see the unraveling that we have seen so many times in Marvel when realities are unraveling. So it's like, we are dealing with multiverse, definitely. Like that's
this is the kickoff of Secret Wars.
Yeah.
All day. This was
Yeah,
happening.
definitely.
And I can't believe it's Deadpool, my favorite comic book movies of all time. I love
Getting Korean numbers yelled at me. Okay, Drew, you're drunk. Cassandra Nova, thank you, Classic Xbox. And then what was the other thing I was going to say? Not our Wolverine. Definitely, like, yeah, Secret Wars, raveling of the universe, and there was one more thing, and I don't remember now. That I was gonna say, like, that was an interesting reveal in the trailer.
I think Daphne King as X-23 is
and that's it. Yeah, X-23. Like, that's a pretty big. I think that's a pretty big reveal. So I'm excited. The Deadpool core showing up. And it was funny because, like, in all the trailers previous, Gwenpool or Lady Deadpool, but Gwenpool, like, they were only showing her from like the feet, and a little bit up. Like, you knew that's where they were going with it. And then when they finally fully reveal her in this, she's in a mask anyway, so it's not like it's any big reveal. It was like, what? Why did you hold on to that? But okay, fine. Like, we all knew she was in the movie. Yeah, so
I actually hate that. I fucking hate the whole
because
Gwenpool,
the rumor for a long time was that was going to be Taylor Swift. Or no, not Taylor Swift. No, they're saying Dazzler, but then people said maybe that's Taylor Swift. But other people are saying maybe it's Ryan Reynolds' wife. I can't think of it. She's an actress. I can't think of her name. You're right. You're right, Drew. Gwenpool and Lady Deadpool are two different people. Yes, it's probably Lady Deadpool because she's the one
talking about Blake Lively.
Blake Lively. Yeah, there's people who think it's Blake Lively.
Yeah, because Gwenpool's got a whole different setup with her uniform.
Yes, and Lady Pool, and she also wears pink, not red. But Lady Pool was ahead of the Deadpool core in the comics for a while. So, which is also part of the Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe storyline. So,
which would be funny if they do.
Which they could do on the road to Secret Wars.
Yeah, that's my guess. Classic Xbox. It's actually going to be Ryan Reynolds. Like, it's going to take the mask off, and it's going to be Ryan Reynolds underneath with a female body, because they've already shown other shots of him as other Deadpools. There's a samurai Deadpool where he's not all messed up and he's got long hair and he's not wearing a mask, and it's like, it's going to be him. But we're all in. It's definitely happening. I'm excited. I'm more excited after this trailer, so I hope everyone watching is in as well, because
pretty much.
All right, let's take a quick commercial break, and come back with our main topic.
This is so wizard, Annie.
Broadcasting very fast and very dangerous from the planet Malistan. You are listening to So Wizard.
You're thinking, people gonna die?
The only podcast to make the Kessel run in under 12 parsecs.
There'll be no one to stop us this time.
I am your host, Joey DiCarlo, and with me, my co-hosts, the queen of all nerds, Aubrey Litchfield, and the expert, Mr. Marquis, Marcellus Ray. You are listening to So Wizard Podcast, where three friends review movies, TV, and sometimes more, podcasting weekly on the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. Marcellus Reagans, please tell the listeners where they can find more So Wizard Podcasts.
Everybody, you can head on over to SoWizardPodcast.com, and there you're going to find a brand new episode every week. Find So Wizard on all podcasting streaming platforms, such as iTunes, Spotify, Good Pods, and pretty much wherever you can find a podcast. Check out our YouTube page, where new content is being uploaded regularly. We also have a Patreon page. For as little as $1 a month, you can receive exclusive bonus content while you're supporting the show.
No, I didn't. First of all, a podcast takes a lot of work, okay? You have to organize the guests, you have to do a Google Calendar, and then you build a following. It takes a long time, and I've been working on it for a while.
Real quick, Comics and Gaming Boomer, welcome, said, get pegged from DP3.
That's me.
Ow! I just realized that's your picture.
Yeah, that's me. I was responding to Drew C's comment.
I would just sit back and take it from Deadpool 3. Okay.
We do sometimes respond to comments, like literally in the comments.
Not to brag, but the UK, we see Deadpool, Wolverine a whole day before the US. Well,
screw you guys.
All right.
And let us know. Drop a line and let us know how it is.
Back in the olden days, back in 2020,
dear goddess,
a movie was made, which was going to be the newest take on the X-Men mutant franchises from the Fox universe.
Was that actually in 2018? It was put
right.
off 4 times.
I was going to say 2018, and they were going to do this little movie called The New Mutants, and it was going to take over. And you're right, it was edited and changed a bunch of times. Reshoots, kept getting delayed. It was going to come out in 2020, and then
put off
Disney,
for other movies coming out.
Yeah, and then Disney went, all right, we're going to buy you, Fox.
And then it was put off again.
It was put off again. It was put on the shelf. It never officially came out in the theaters, but it came out on. Did it? I don't remember.
I was at theaters to see it.
No way.
Yeah. Yes.
You lie. You're lying.
No. I don't lie, even when I should.
I really don't remember this coming out in the theaters. It had to have done.
Hey, don't get me wrong. This was like COVID is happening.
Yes.
But no.
Okay. It only made 49 million in the theaters. All right. Okay. It didn't even make its budget back. All right. Oh wow. I'm shocked. I don't remember. Yeah, I guess because it was the height of COVID, so I guess that is why I don't remember it coming out, because I wasn't even bothering looking at movies when during the pandemic.
Yeah, Disney a couple of times looked at what they had and said, no, you got to reshoot more and rearrange it. They did it like 3 times, I think.
Yeah. New Mutants. Conveniently, it's time to put my daughter to bed. Okay, Drew. Yeah, and Classic Xbox says, fun fact, Deadpool 2, Dark Phoenix, and New Mutants were all filmed at the same time.
Yeah, but the release of New Mutants was put off because of Dark Phoenix.
Yes,
like they didn't want, and I think one other film,
which is
too.
funny
Like,
because there's no big tie-in to this movie with the other movies. This could have come out at any time. It doesn't matter.
This movie had a tie-in with Logan, actually, which is weird because it happens before Logan, supposedly.
Well, in time-wise, yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Like timeline-wise, it would happen before Logan.
Right, but there's a scene in there where somebody sees scenes from Logan, which are supposedly in the future.
That is true. The visions that she gets from Essex Corp.
Yeah,
Were
basically almost everything that could have happened to this movie did happen to this movie, with the exception of them burying it like they did with Batgirl.
So it did come out obviously then during the pandemic. I apologize. I didn't know that. It didn't do well, but it is now available on Disney Plus to watch. And Don said, "You guys have talked about this movie enough on this damn show. It's time to actually watch it and review it." So
yeah,
and if we're gonna defend shitty stuff, we might as well do it on the same show.
I also feel like this is a good tie-in to what we'll be talking about next week, Deadpool Wolverine, because this is the final Fox mutant movie, technically that came out.
No, it is the last movie of a dying universe.
It is. It literally was the very last movie. And just to remind people, like JD, who's still on sabbatical, he was convinced this movie would never come out. Like I think, what was it, for 3 years we were making jokes about it.
First he said that it was going to be, he said he was all in. This was going to be a great movie. It's a great concept.
And then if you've time skipped, you could see him slowly lose his faith in the movie.
Yes,
over 3 years.
Yes, too bad he's not here. He was going to join us tonight, but he was coming back from a wrestling tournament. So, but
Dude,
yeah,
you got me excited with that when I saw he was on the emails. Like, grrr.
Yeah,
I know, jerk. Well, we'll talk about it next week. He is definitely going to be on next week.
Well, okay, so we have video evidence of what like Dave and I felt about this movie. We talked about it a lot. Don, what did you think about this movie before it came out? Like all the different things that happened. Were you following it, or did you have any strong feelings?
Oh yeah, and it's like, oh, what the fuck is gonna happen with this movie? It's been delayed so much. Like, is it even gonna come out? Like, I know we knew, like, even when it came out on the theaters, like, we knew this universe is dead. But I like this shit. So when it came out, I saw it with my then podcast partner, my brother Volsker. So you asked me what I thought of it at that point, or do you want me to say?
What would you think of the lead up? Like because we discussed on this many times.
I thought it was
again. Oh, it's been delayed again. It's like
I thought it was in deep shit. Okay, yeah. I thought, okay, this is a train wreck. This is horrible. They don't even want to release it at this point. That's what I thought until they actually released it, and I was like, okay, I got to see what's going on.
Yeah, even in the opening scene, like the opening credits, it was 20th century, not 20th Century Fox. They took the Fox out of it.
Yeah.
And then they said in association with Marvel, because it wasn't a Marvel movie yet, even though Disney owned them by that point. So it was just like, it was basically the redheaded stepchild of Marvel movies. Nobody wanted to claim credit for it.
So, all right. So first off, it's the New Mutants. It's Macy Williams as Wolfsbane, Anna Taylor Joy as Magic, Charles Heaton as Cannonball, Alicia, how do you say her name? Braga as Dr. Cecilia Reyes, and Bill Hunt as Moonstar Mirage. So, and then
not a bad cast too.
Right. I'm sorry. Henry Zaga as Sunspot. And so it's like
Henrique. Yeah. Henrique Zaga.
Right. So it's not a bad cast. I'm going to be honest. number one, they shot their shot, right? Because they wanted to do something different. So they gave it a little bit of a horror feel.
Horror movie.
Right. They made it a horror movie. It's a PG-13 horror movie. And it's still a superhero movie. So they were trying to do something different that hadn't been done before. And you can see it's a young cast of really good actors. Like, they wanted to build a franchise off of this. This wasn't like they weren't like, oh, we're just doing a one-shot movie here. They wanted to build something off of it.
And they got Maisie Williams in the middle of when she was becoming big because of Game of Thrones. They got Anya Taylor-Joy before she became like a breakout star. Like, it's just, and they're really good actors.
Before Stranger Things, right?
True. Yep. Yeah. I mean, like they really lucked. They kind of stumbled into having some really good talent on this. And it shows in the movie too.
Right. Like, I don't think you can fault the acting. The special effects are really good and are solid in this movie, I thought.
They had so many reshoots that they had plenty of time to continue to refine the CGI. And the CGI is some of the best you've seen in any Marvel show, but it's only because they were given the actual time to make it look good instead of these artificial deadlines and slave driving the CGI guys.
So, John, why do you hate this movie? I mean,
I don't hate this movie. I'm surprised at how much I like it.
Okay. I thought you were going to come in and like bash this.
No,
because a lot of people, it's funny.
I was expecting to.
It's funny. I posted, like, I was watching the movie yesterday on my social media, and like there were people that like posted, "Oh, this movie sucks," like I'm like, really?
They didn't watch it.
Yeah. Like, is this a perfect movie? No, not by no stretch of imagination. This is a Fox mutant movie. Like, it's got the same flaws as the X-Men movies do.
Right. It was a Fox movie that was made in between an acquisition and had several reshoots before and after the acquisition.
Right.
And you can tell that there are some points that are a little bit choppy, but in general, it's an actually really good movie. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it was pretty damn solid.
Like, yeah, I mean, the only criticisms I would give to this movie is the mystery is obvious from the beginning. It's what's her face's psychic powers causing everyone to have these visions. God, why am I drawing a blank?
Danny Moonstar.
Oh, yeah, Moonstar, right?
It's her power causing everyone to have the visions. They're trapped in this house. Obviously, it's not. She doesn't work for Xavier. It's Essex Corporation. Is that something you know because you read the comics, or is it obvious? I don't know.
Essex is Sinister, right? Yeah.
And then, like, the movie's only an hour and a half, and over an hour of movie is the build up to the final confrontation. So I kind of feel like they're my main criticisms. Like, that could have been written maybe a little bit better. I don't know. And again, but I keep wondering, because I know the comics, like, and I know some of these things already. Am I more forgiving of the movie?
That is my largest criticism. Also, the biggest reason I enjoy the movie, because I know so much about this universe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm truly able to enjoy how they incorporated Danny Moonstar's power into this movie in order to make it a really cool, creepy horror flick. But if you don't know that, is this movie as enjoyable as it is to me? So that's my criticism, but that criticism doesn't affect me personally.
I would actually say yes, it's still enjoyable, Don, because if you go in not knowing what her power is, the whole thing is made like again, they were trying to make this a horror movie at the time, and by the end, when the reveal is that all of the creepy things that are happening are literally her powers going haywire, like that is an actually pretty good reveal, and it gives a very solid reason for why all this creepy crap is happening. And I thought it was actually a really good storyline that they wrote.
I'll say this, based on the trailers, the person who was the biggest cheerleader, JD, did not think it would did not have that idea at all, that it was her powers causing this. He thought it was
they were just forcing a
no, he thought it was an actual demon. I can't think which Marvel demon he
Mephisto.
picked.
No, sorry.
Not Mephisto. But he
Sorry,
thought
I just slipped out.
He thought that was going to be the premise of the movie, is that the demon was trying to break into where they were, and like they were seeing them in different visions. So I will say that, like, based on the previews, JD didn't see that coming, but I do feel like, yeah, but you kind of get it pretty quickly in the movie. Like, it's one of their powers going haywire, and it's obviously her, because no one says exactly what her power is until
but you see the video of her in her room, and this is the psychic or psionic energy detection.
Yeah.
Like, I think it lays it out pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm actually really surprised. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's 30%, 36% for critic reviews, which screw their critics. But 56% audience score. I would have thought it would have been higher, because again, this is a way better movie than I expected.
And
I don't know if I can't tell if I have any bias, considering I know the story behind it.
One of the things
but
that
I enjoyed
liked,
it while I was watching it.
One of the things I liked, it wasn't, New Mutants, but an X-Men movie where all their powers were true to the comics. Like, they didn't change anything around to make it work for the movie, which they have done in the movies quite a lot, and like, and then
the only question I have there is the Liliana Rasputin. She's a teleporter.
Magic.
Yeah.
So this is very obvious that this is pre her developing her teleporting. I mean, she could teleport to Limbo in this movie.
Yeah.
But as far as her just being a teleporter, this has to be before that developed, which it very well could be and makes sense. But that was my only question in that regard.
Right. And they had to do that for the movie to work, because she could have just teleported out of the bubble. Right. Like, so they had to make it make sense to the audience. I agree with that. And I feel like they would have developed that more in the next movie,
Right. But she'd also just discovered her powers like everybody else. So,
right. That's another point.
Right there.
Like, they're the fresh group. They're the people, like, they're bringing them in as soon as their powers are being discovered, and they're having some horrible accident where people are being killed and dying because of their powers. Though they all went through some pretty horrible stuff. Her and Wolfsbane especially, that's a thing too. Like, this is a dark movie, right? When you really start thinking about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a very dark movie, but like, when you think of, you mentioned Wolfsbane, Rain Sinclair, played by Maisie Williams.
Yeah.
That's actually goes into a criticism. And I love this movie, by the way, if I haven't said already. I love this movie. I am incredibly entertained by this movie. But Maisie Williams is a weak spot for me.
Really?
Because Wolfsbane is the Wolverine of this group. Okay.
Yeah.
And in this movie, she plays a very timid character, and that's not Wolfsbane. I mean, yeah, they do at some point, when the demon bear comes into the mix after the buildup, and you see that Rain Sinclair, aka Wolfsbane, is like on the bear's face, just slashing away. Like, okay, that's her, but she's not timid. She's not the timid, scared. No, not at all. So
again, your out is that she just got her powers, and she was dealing with the trauma of her father, basically branding her as what could either be an M for
demon
mutant or a W for witch.
Wolfsbane. Well, it's a Wolfsbane, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you're right. Witch. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah,
Let me.
but that's the thing. Like, and her trigger for growing into the wolves being we were expecting was my girlfriend. Fuck that. And then she drops down on what's her face and just starts slashing her, which was awesome.
Here's what I'm going to say. Playing a little bit of devil's advocate about this movie and where they may have missed the mark. Magic. You see, and this is where I thought they were going, and they did not go this way with everyone else. I guess they did it with Sunspot too, but like, the smiley guys appear, and she then gets the courage, gets her sword, and starts killing them. Right, so she's overcoming her fear, which was like the premise of Moonstar's powers were. They're the two bears, and one is like goodness and happiness, and one is fear, and it depends on which bear you feed. And so they were feeding this demon bear with their fear was making it stronger, but overcoming the fear, you kind of think, oh, that's where they're going. They all overcome their fear, and it makes the bear weaker, and they're able to defeat the demon that way. But yet, they only do it the most dramatically with her, and then Sunspot kind of like. I guess kills his. No, he doesn't really. He doesn't really overcome it. So yeah, it's like she's the only one you see really overcome her fear or defeat her fear in some way. But I feel like if they had done that with all the characters, it would have been a much better. That's what I'm saying. She's the only one.
No, like, Rain Sinclair did too. Like,
no, she gets marked again. On her neck.
Well, yeah, but later, what Don said, like when they were fighting the bear,
right? But she didn't overcome her fear of what happened to her in the past with the priest. Like that,
I get it.
Well, she never does, though. Even in the comics, man, that always follows her. She is very conflicted about the fact because she is very faithful in the Catholic religion. So the fact that her own father, who was a priest, damns her and basically thinks that she was a demon. That is a weight that I don't know. She just has always carried, and to her death, basically. Like I think she's come back since then because of Krakoa era. They can revive everybody.
Yeah.
But before that, she died because she was dating someone, and then discovered like she was a mutant, and she was being flirted by this group of this gang of dudes, and then they found out she was a mutant. And they killed her for it because they're like, oh my God, we were flirting with a mutant, and they killed her. So that character has always had that dark edge, and that event with her father and the Catholic religion, that's always been with the character. So I got that. I got that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you're right. And it would have gone against the comic book canon, which is what I praised the movie for in the first place.
Classic said nail. Allow me to say it in the tone it should be said in. Nail.
He said the early Waspian absolutely was like that, so they did nail that. That's
I got you. Okay. And I'm not even the biggest
balls.
That's even funnier in the abridged. But I'm not the biggest New Mutants fan, so I mean I'm gonna bow to his Wolfsbane knowledge there. But even with that said, geez, I like this movie. But again, as much as I'm gushing about how much I like this movie, and by the way, I thought I was gonna have to come in here and defend the movie. So I'm glad, I'm so relieved and happy to hear that John liked this as much,
am so surprised.
I guess, as I did.
Really liked. I was literally doing laundry while I was watching it and wound up on the couch just curled up watching it because it was really, really good.
And you know what? I'm going to say this too, real quick. I like horror movies, but I'm critical of horror movies, and I don't like anymore a lot of jump scares and stuff. And it was funny, there's a horror element to this and you feel it throughout the movie, but I wasn't overly creeped out, and there weren't any real major jump scares, so it's enjoyable. You still have the creepiness, but you're not like, oh my god, it's it's Friday the 13th or Saul or anything like. It didn't feel anything like that, but still had that element to it.
How hard did they have to work to resist the urge to put in a jump scare in a movie that they were trying to make a part of the horror genre?
Yeah.
Either they had them and they took them out, or they were just that good and didn't put any in because they didn't need them because they already had all the horror effects that they needed.
I think that might have been part of the reshoots because maybe it was too horror at one point, and they're trying to make sure they're capturing the superhero crowd, the fans. You know what I'm saying? And if it was too horror, they might have been too turned off by it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, totally. Because I do not like horror movies.
Yeah.
For two reasons. A, I'm just not a fan of unpleasant images of people getting hurt, and I'm just the type of guy that shit will get stuck in my head, so I stay away. And I also don't like, as much as I defended the Acolyte, full of flawed people to make flawed decisions, I do not like constant buffoonery from characters.
Buffoonery, I like that.
I'm just not a horror guy. But at the same time, I like this movie because it doesn't delve into those tropes when it comes to the horror genre.
Right. It doesn't go too deep into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not full of blood and gore.
Yeah. None of them made the stupid decision of, hey, there's a dark room. Tell you what, you all stay here. We'll split the party and I'll go into the dark room alone and see what that noise is.
Right.
Like none of them did anything stupid like that,
Well,
yeah.
Real quick, Classic Xbox says he has to bail. Thank you for watching. Yes, we're going a little long tonight.
Yeah. Take care, man.
Yes, take care.
I don't know.
But the only other criticism I have of this, because it was slightly mentioned like 10 minutes ago, is that not all the characters shine. I feel that 3/4 of the way through this movie, I feel it did a good job of kind of touching base with every one of the New Mutants, what happened, what maybe landed him here, except Roberto. I feel Sunspot is a very back shelf character. I feel eventually Sam Guthrie becomes a little bit of a back, and it focuses primarily on Danny, which is fine. She's the main one. Magic, which I get because Anna Taylor-Joy as Magic is fucking
She wasn't that
awesome.
big at that point, though. It
wasn't.
But she was a really good actress.
Goddamn, when they went into that fight, and Danny and no, it was Rain Sinclair who says, "Hey, you can't beat this. It's magic." And then she fucking turns around and says, "So am I."
That was badass. Yeah, that was pretty good. That was good.
So, at that point, some characters do slide to the background. And then it eventually ends with Danny Moonstar really being the whole crux of everything, who can stop everything. And you may find that a positive or negative. I find it a positive. But so we do have some characters that do a backslide there. But I think that they were correct in focusing on like Magic and of course Danny Moonstar. And they're going to focus on Rain Sinclair because she was played by Maisie Williams in the midst of her Game of Thrones heyday.
Not only that, if you look in the background, some of the scenes, they're watching TV, and what's on TV? Buffy. And what episode of Buffy? It was the one where Buffy found her mother dead from it was the one where Buffy found her mother dead from like an aneurysm or something. And it was a natural death in a movie where in a very long running TV series where everybody died from supernatural reasons. And that's one of the best episodes of that entire series. But it also, that episode also included the first kiss between Willow and her girlfriend, and you can see Maisie looking at the TV, watching that first kiss because they showed it in the movie. And you can see Maisie looking at it. You can see the look in Maisie's eyes. If you look carefully, you can see her looking at it longingly, right? Mm-hmm. Which then, transitions into Rain and Danny sitting under the dome. They made it their way outside. There's a lightning storm and it's raining, and they're seeing all these red dots. And if you look carefully, all those red dots, that whole thing of the rain hitting the shield and the red dots looked a hell of a lot like the scenes in the X-Men movies where they're in Cerebro and they're looking and seeing all the dots that represent the mutants all over the place.
Yeah.
Meaning that those two were not alone anymore. They were together. Like, it's little things like that that make this movie really damn good.
So, okay.
I'm so happy.
I have a question for our resident X-Men expert. Dr. Reyes. How do you feel about them making her the bad guy of this movie?
Because she wasn't a bad guy. I don't know anything about her. I just know I caught on one of the shows that I watched that she wasn't supposed to be a bad guy normally.
Yeah. I'm okay with it. I think that I think for most of the movie, it was actually very good with her because she did convey that she did care. But obviously that goes out the window when she gets the message from Sinister, I guess who I'm assuming is Mr. Sinister, directly, that she's supposed to get a sample and terminate. It's at that point where it's like, okay, this is the left turn. But for the movie and the contents, it made sense. And it's definitely within the realm. I mean, we're talking about Mr. Sinister. So can we say she's even doing what she's doing willingly?
Right,
don't know.
because she had the ring on, and the ring had basically the shape of the gem that's in Sinister's forehead.
Yes,
And I guess he only gives a ring to people who are actually loyal to him, or that he's brainwashed.
Correct.
And so that brings up a question I wanted to ask you guys, though. I guess particularly John, but how much of this movie did you actually believe? Like, what percentage of the movie were you in belief at all that this was like a pre-X-Men program and not Mr. Sinister just being Mr. Sinister?
Oh no, the second that they locked her in the room when she first got there, like it didn't make sense. You know, like
I agree.
It was
I agree
too creepy from the beginning.
Exactly. Like,
and she lied in the beginning.
It would have been too much of them forcing a red herring of them thinking like, oh, they're talking to Professor X and because it was like, no, there's no way the X-Men do not do this. Like, I didn't believe that for a second. But the average moviegoer who isn't a big comic book person, maybe they did believe that effort. Yeah, you know,
I could see that.
Yeah,
let us know in the comments. Super chat.
Yeah, super chat us. But I
think
agree.
Everybody else has gone to bed because we've gone really long.
Yeah, it got quiet. I think people are.
Yeah, we've had longer.
So, yeah, I mean, I kind of say at this point, it's on Disney Plus. If you've got Disney Plus and you haven't seen it, you should check it out because there's also a weird, probably not because of it's not like one of the upper movies, but there's a slight possibility one of these characters is going to show up next week in Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh yeah, we're getting Anna Taylor-Joy magic.
Wouldn't it be great? Like, she's amazing as
I'm stamping that shit right now. But it's a great, but outside of it, it's a great one shot.
Yeah.
One shots are allowed to exist, and sometimes they're wonderful. And to
it wasn't a one shot.
I'm so elated that you guys are not shitting on this movie. I feel much more sane now because I went to the theater. I paid money to go to theaters for this thing.
That was what money was.
And even then, I was like, this is great. I'm so happy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I love this movie. Like, I don't know if I would have felt differently if I had to pay money in the theater. You know, let's put all our cards on the table, but it's not a horrible movie. It's not like 5 minutes into the movie I'm like, oh, I can't believe this. Oh, that's bad. Oh, you know.
And it wasn't a one shot on purpose because they were planning to have 2 movies after this.
Definitely.
But
and I would have loved to see it. I would have loved to see it because let's face it, the goal that was accomplished in this movie was they escaped. They're in this prison made by Sinister, and they escaped. And so from there, anything could happen, and I would have loved to see it. Honestly, Kevin Feige, I'm telling you, because I know you're listening. I know you're watching. Go ahead and pick this up. put this in the MCU somehow. I would like it. So I like it.
We'll get that when DC puts out a Static Shock or a Batman Beyond movie. Like it's one of those things that's a sure thing that these studios are just too stupid to put out. You know?
Yeah, I agree.
By the way, you can watch this on Disney, and with the right subscriptions, you can also see it on Hulu, YouTube TV, FX Now, Sling TV, and Fubo TV. And then you can rent it on Apple, Amazon Prime, Fandango, Google, and YouTube.
That is a wonderful point, Thrawn. That is a wonderful point. That 90 minutes, no Hugh Jackman,
right?
No Patrick Stewart,
Ian
McKellen.
It did have It did have X-17 though.
X-17. I've had a couple, so maybe I'm.
No, what's her name from Logan?
X-23.
Oh, right.
Yeah, she was in one of the flashbacks. So technically, she was in those movies too.
Okay, but exactly. Like they could have so easily had one of the X-Men show up at the end to say, come with me. I'll take you to a school or whatever that can help you. Like it would have been so easy to end on that note, but they didn't. Like they left it completely open for any possibility at the end.
They could have pulled a Peacemaker and said, "Where the fuck have you been?"
Now, I like this movie, but I'd like to know in the chat, past tense, whatever, future, how much are we missing Warlock and Cypher?
Warlock was supposed to be in this movie until they realized the CGI would be too much. But he was planned for the next movie or the movie thereafter, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's funny because I'm looking at the what you call it. This is on Wikipedia, but I'm sure it's fairly accurate at this point. The budget was 67 to 80 million. Only made 49 million in the box office, but that's
during the height of the pandemic.
Yeah, that has to be said.
Right. No. Sorry, Don. I'm not trying to upset you. I'm just saying.
No. I'm just further emphasizing that it really wasn't that bad.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is that's still, even with all the reshoots, that's still a pretty low budget for a superhero movie, right? With all the special effects and everything.
And it was a lot better of a movie than I would think of one that had so many reshoots. Like I've never seen a movie get better with reshoots.
One of the things that probably saves it is it's all done on one set. It's all done in that one building. Like they didn't have to travel anywhere for different scenes. They didn't have to. There is no Patrick Stewart cameo or Hugh Jackman cameo. So, but like, kudos to them for doing a decent mutant movie on a fairly low budget, and again, a movie that had a lot of reshoots in it. So,
God, I'm so happy I'm not insane. I mean, I don't know.
Wait, whoa. Just because we like this movie doesn't mean you're not insane. Let's be real.
Agreed. But you just, every now and then you get a positive sign. That's all I'm saying. I enjoy it. I enjoy the positive sign that maybe I'm not insane.
It kind of felt like how those one-off Predator movies feel from Thrawn.
Yeah, the good ones, Thrawn. The good ones.
It's a good one-off.
Because there's some bad ones too, but this was a good one.
Fair enough.
All right.
I like it, man. I like the cast, and I'm just so happy that. Yeah.
This was the prey of the Predator movies.
Yes. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to put a pin in it, unless you guys have anything else you wanted to add.
No,
I mean, I don't know if I want to add anything. I guess as the resident expert, and I'm not a New Mutants fan, but I really, really appreciated what this movie did because I felt it showed us that we could do a superhero movie like Winter Soldier level. Like, okay, it's a superhero movie, but it's a spy movie. This is a superhero movie, but this is a horror movie,
right?
One that's not over the top. And again, Anna Taylor-Joy as Magic stole the show for me when I first saw the movie. I know Danny Moonstar is like the main character, but Anna Taylor-Joy, never will there be a more perfect Liliana Rasputin. But the way they incorporated Danny Moonstar's power to make this a horror movie, I thought it was great. And if you're watching this and you haven't given it a chance, please do so.
Yeah, and shoot, thought just went out of my head. I do think they took a book out of Marvel's playbook with this, right? Like, let's make a genre movie that's also a superhero movie. So like you just said, Winter Soldier's a spy movie, Ant-Man's a heist movie, and that was their formula for a while. So this was like, yeah, it's a horror movie that's wrapped in a superhero movie, and they did a really decent job at it. So, all right, well, let's go around and end the podcast with: did you learn anything this week, or do you have a recommendation, or both? And Don, you can go first.
I learned this week that I am insane when it comes to the Acolyte. No, I understand that I'm very tolerant of flawed characters because I love Star Wars, and not everybody is going to share that, and that's okay. But truly, I'm just the type of person that likes to go into anything. Hey, I'm here to have fun.
Yeah.
And so I just look for the things that I enjoy, and maybe I do ignore the things that don't make sense, or maybe I'm just such a nerd that I can have anything make sense in my own mind. I don't know. But I truly appreciated what the Acolyte brought from Legends, things I only read about. Bleeding kyber crystals or saw in comic books and shit like that, to see on the big screen really truly does excite me. But that's because I'm just a certain, I'm not going to say people aren't real Star Wars fans. I'm not that guy. I know I'm a certain type of Star Wars fan. Acolyte is actually my least favorite show, but I still enjoyed it. And John, it's okay if you didn't. So I hope that my zeal and passion for what I love does not at all make disappear the fact that I truly enjoy being your friend and discussing these things with you on this show.
Right back at you.
And I don't recommend anything because I've been camping for a week, so I really didn't watch.
All right, John.
Well, again, I'm going to say, after having my second and final cat also go to the hospital a week after I lost my first, hug your family, hug your kids, live every day like it's your last, make it count, and enjoy. And make sure that the people you love know that you love them. Other than that, recommendation would be to see this movie, because this was well worth it. Grab some popcorn, get a nice large cup of Coke and sit down and just freaking enjoy this movie, because it was good. On the anime side, the summer season is in swing, and I found that Wisteria, it's called Wisteria Wand and Sword. And it's amazing. The animation in this is amazing. The storyline's pretty cool too. So I would recommend that. I would recommend Suicide Squad Isekai, and I would recommend My Adventures with Superman, because that just ended. There's a full second season of 10 episodes, and now you can go binge it if you haven't seen it already, and it's well worth it.
All right. I learned that Don will take anything, any kind of proof that he's not crazy and be happy with it.
Don't compare you to us on our opinions, because that doesn't prove anything about sanity.
Exactly. and then that John likes to hug cats. No. Sorry. My recommendation is that that number one, if you're in New York, if ever find yourself in New York, go to Cat's Deli, get the pastrami. It'll change your life. I'm telling you, it'll change your life. I also recommend, if you've gotten this far in the show and you haven't done so yet, please click that subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you don't miss us when we go live. Hit that like button. See, hit can mean the same thing too. Smash it, hit it, whatever.
That's more 90s.
So it helps with our algorithm, gets the show out there more. And if you feel up to it, please consider buying one of our t-shirts over at our merch store. Link in the description. And yeah, that'll make us happy. And then if you buy a t-shirt, Don will be able to buy a pastrami sandwich while we're in New York. That's all I'm saying.
That's worth it right there, man.
And of course, I recommend you go to superheroespeak.com where you can find the podcast every week. Links to all our social media at the top of the page, comic book reviews, and so much more. And of course, the big recommendation has got to be, make sure you go out and see Deadpool Wolverine, because that is what we will be all about next week. We will be talking about that movie. And yeah, and you don't want to miss it. It's going to be the triumphant return of JD. So again, don't want to miss it.
We should get as many people as we can on that panel because it's going to be fun.
Yes, and it'll be this will be proof whether Marvel is dead or not. All right.
I don't count that as part of Devil.
On that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for watching. Don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.